Chapter 1590. Target equals underscore blank. E-Search Novels Chapter 1589. Mysterious the tragic Zhao Qibing. Besides, compared to wiping out House Wu, extorting money from them was much more worth it. I say, Zhao Qibing, did you eat too much arsenic? Have you gone stupid? You're just a bastard. How can you represent the hidden house, Zhao? Shintian mocked. Website Sihua, tell him who I am now. Ignorance is so scary. Qibing said faintly. Wu Shintian, you don't know yet, right? Master Bing is now a candidate for the young master of the hidden house Zhao, and he's the most likely candidate. Sihua said, What, aren't you going to beg for mercy now? What young master? Will you let me go if I beg for mercy? My boss is Linny now, and you have a grudge with Lin E. Do you think I'm stupid? Just tell me if you're scared of death. Don't waste time with all these empty words. Shintian said with disdain. What did you say? Qibing was about to explode. He was speaking the truth, not empty words. He'd said those words to scare Shintian into handing over the money obediently, but Shintian had taken it as a coward. Naturally, he was pissed. Uncle Zhu, cripple this kid and notify House Wu. Give us 200 million in exchange for him. Yes. Uncle Zhu couldn't hold it in any longer, rubbing his palms together as he walked towards Shintian. Qibing wasn't an idiot. He knew that Shintian was already a golden class master, and his strength was stable. He didn't want to make a move rashly. He was going to wait until Uncle Zhu crippled Shintian first before getting his fill. When Uncle Zhu walked over, Shintian moved as well. He was sick of this and couldn't wait to make a move. Shintian didn't put on any airs and threw a punch at Uncle Zhu's chest. Uncle Zhu was now a mystic class master, and naturally, he wasn't afraid of Shintian. He was about to block the punch when he realized that something was wrong. This Shintian was no longer a golden class master, but an early mystic class master. However, by the time he reacted, it was already too late. He could only brace himself and stretch out his hand to block. It was impossible for him to dodge, but Uncle Zhu comforted himself. Shintian was just an early mystic class master, and he was already a mystic class master. He wouldn't be at a disadvantage. But in the next moment, he realized that he was wrong, very wrong. But it was too late. Website Uncle Zhu spat out a mouthful of blood and was sent flying, crashing into the wall. His sternum caved in and his eyes rolled back. Who was Shintian? As the successor of the iron hand technique, his hand techniques were quite powerful. Even if it was an expert of the same level, they wouldn't dare to take it head-on. But Uncle Zhu did. Plus, Shintian was a dual cultivator, one level higher than other masters of the same level. Wouldn't he be able to cripple Uncle Zhu on the spot? Internal and external cultivation. Blood frothed out of Uncle Zhu's mouth as he struggled to utter these words. But before he could finish, Shintian walked over and stepped on all four of his limbs. This was a skill he learned from Gooden, and he thought that it was awesome. Finally, he could use it himself. With the help of Shintian's physical strength and spiritual qi, Uncle Zhu's arms and legs were broken, and the meridians in his arms and legs were crushed by Shintian's pure qi. And so, Uncle Zhu's newly recovered meridians were crippled again, and this time, it was even worse than before. After 4 screams, Uncle Zhu was about to threaten Shintian, saying that his big brother wouldn't let him go, but Shintian stepped on his mouth again, breaking all of his teeth. The pain made his eyes roll back, and he fainted. Website you. Don't come over. Qibing was finally scared. Shintian was too strong. Wasn't he? Why were all of Lin Yi's followers so strong? Gooden was like that, but this Shintian was so strong? I'm sorry, but Boss Lin said that you're too much of a nuisance. He didn't come looking for trouble with you, but you came looking for trouble with him. He had no choice but to send me to break your legs. Shintian said, Don't. I didn't do anything. Qibing felt wronged. He may have become the heir of the hidden house, but he only dared to curse Lin Yi behind his back. He didn't dare to mess with Lin Yi. That Zhao Fafa, weren't you the one who sent him to mess with Tang Yun's wife? Shintian said as he walked towards Qibing. I didn't know. Qibing was about to cry, cursing in his heart. Zhao Fafa, you bastard. You're killing me. Gotcha. Qibing was an early-phase golden class master. How could he be Shintian's opponent? He couldn't even resist, and both his legs were broken by Chintian. But Chintian was very considerate. He didn't destroy the meridians in Qibing's legs, only breaking them. Linny had told him not to cause too much damage to Qibing, so that the hidden house wouldn't retaliate. As for Qibing, even if he didn't do anything to him now, he'd be a cripple sooner or later. Chintian didn't quite understand Lin Yi's words, but he followed Lin Yi's instructions. All of this happened in the blink of an eye, and with that, Chintian walked out of Floating Clouds bar and got into Lin Yi's car. Lin Yi started the engine, and the two of them left the bar. Haha, this is great. Boss Lin Yi, this is the first time I felt so good. So, even noble houses can step on hidden houses. Chintian was dancing in excitement. If you have the ambition, even if you come from a humble background, you can still be on the same level as the ancient sects. Lin Yi said faintly, no one is born a master, and not all the ancestors of the ancient sects have good conditions for training. Boss, I understand. I'll work hard. Chintian felt that his vision had broadened a lot. Before, he was too limited. He only saw the power struggle of noble houses and thought that getting a place in the noble house was the ultimate goal of his life. But after following Lin Yi, he realized that hidden houses weren't that mysterious after all. If he wanted to step on them, he'd step on them all the same. And he'd step on two of them at once, Hidden House Zhao and House Pai. And Lin Yi was about to go against House Yu again. Would the Hidden House Yu make a move then? Chintian's blood was boiling at the thought. The inside of the floating cloud bar was naturally in a state of chaos at this moment. Chapter 1591. Target equals blank. Ichua Xiaouncle Zhu, on the other hand, was gasping for air, his mouth full of blood froth. It seemed like he wouldn't be able to make it if they didn't save him now. Yao was about to check on Qibing's leg when Qibing stopped him. Let's go check on Uncle Zhu first. My leg is fine, it's just a broken bone. It didn't hurt my meridians. After becoming a practitioner, Qibing had become more familiar with his own body and could recognize his injuries. So he didn't want to be a hindrance right now. He might as well let Yao treat Uncle Zhu first. Of course, Uncle Zhu was probably going to be crippled again this time. What Qibing wanted was Boss Zhu's heart. He needed Boss Zhu's help for his revenge. His master, Elder Bai, couldn't get involved in the conflicts of the common world, so he had to rely on Boss Zhu. Boss Zhu was from a hidden house, but he had just broken through to Earth class and hadn't registered with the Noble House Council yet. No one knew about it, so he was the best choice. Yao took a look at Qibing's injury and knew that it wasn't serious. He nodded and went to check on Uncle Zhu. He didn't even dare to do anything when Chintian attacked. He was a mystic, but he couldn't fight. It was better for him to hide at the side. Who was going to treat Uncle Zhu if he was injured? Call Boss Zhu quick. Uncle Zhu is injured. We have to inform him, Qibing said to Zihua. Yes. Zihua nodded at Master Bing's words. He quickly called Boss Zhu for help. At the side of a dilapidated residential alley, an old man handed a small box to a girl. This is the medicine you've taken this time. Swallow it quickly. The young girl silently took the small box and opened it. Inside was an exquisite medicine bottle. The young girl opened the bottle and swallowed the medicine inside. Just as she was about to say something, her phone rang. The old man took out his phone and looked at the caller ID. He turned to the girl. I have some urgent matters to attend to, so I'll leave first. You can go back by yourself. With that, the old man hurried out of the alley and found a quiet place to pick up the phone. Boss Zhu, it's me, Li Zihua. Do you remember me? Zihua said quickly after the call connected. I know. You're Master Bing's man. What's wrong? Something must have happened. Call me? Boss Zhu was panicking as well. He was now in Earth class, and he was afraid that the hidden Noble House Council would target him. He tried his best to avoid contact with Qibing and the others, in case he was discovered. So, for someone close to Zhao Qibing to call him, it must be something very urgent. He was originally scavenging with Chen Shi, but because he was afraid that Chen Shi would find out, he quickly found a place with no one around and picked up the phone. Boss Zhu, this is bad. Uncle Zhu has been heavily injured and is on the verge of death. Yao is trying to think of a solution, and Master Bing's legs are broken as well, but Yao treating Uncle Zhu first. He hasn't gone to Master Bing yet. Sihua knew that Qibing's injuries weren't serious, but he wanted to show how much Qibing cared for his subordinates. As expected, as angry as Boss Zhu was, he was very touched by Qibing's actions. Master Bing is a good master. Sihua, wait for me. I'll be right there. All right, we'll wait for you, Sihua said. Uncle Zhu finished the call and turned to look for Chen Shi. He had to give her some instructions. Chen Shi, Grandpa Zhu has something important to do. I'll be away for a few days. During this time, you can scavenge on your own. However, don't forget the mental cultivation method that I'm going to teach you. Don't tell anyone about it. Don't worry, Grandpa Zhu. If you have something to do, you can go do it, Chen Shi said obediently. Take the elixirs I gave you regularly as well, Boss Zhu said and quickly left. He was burning with impatience. Uncle Zhu was his blood brother, and now that he was injured, he wanted to run over as fast as he could. When Boss Zhu saw Uncle Zhu lying on the bed with all his meridians broken, he was filled with grief and anger. Originally, Uncle Zhu's future was bright after he took the meridian clearing pill. If Lin Yun gave him some pointers, it wouldn't be hard for him to break through to Earth class. But now, Uncle Zhu had become a cripple. He didn't even know if he could survive, let alone cultivate. The most tragic thing was that he had eaten the meridian clearing pill for nothing. What? This old man is going to find him for revenge now. Boss Zhu, please calm down. Qibing jumped in fright when he heard that Boss Zhu was going to take revenge now. If Boss Zhu went now, he'd be able to kill Qing Tian, but he'd also attract the attention of the Noble House Council. It'd be impossible for him to deal with Lin Yi then, and so, he'd go after Lin Yi. Qing Tian was just a small character, one of Lin Yi's underlings. Qibing only hated Lin Yi. He didn't have the heart to care about a small character like that. Furthermore, the most important thing right now was that his grandfather was currently in seclusion. This could be said to be a matter of life and death for the Zhao family, and they couldn't afford to make any mistakes. If they were to be targeted by the Aristocratic Family Arbitration Association at this time, it would definitely not be a good thing. Furthermore, the matter of the qi-gathering pills could be exposed. Plus, Qikuan was back, eyeing the position of the young head of House Zhao like a tiger eyeing its prey. If he caused any trouble here, Qikuan wouldn't let it go so easily. Even Elder Bai wouldn't be able to handle it then. Ever since Qibing became Elder Bai's disciple, he'd been thinking a lot more than before. Before, Qibing didn't have much ambition. He thought that he was just an illegitimate child, and that he'd be lucky if he could make a name for himself and gain the recognition of House Zhao. But now, Elder Bai had given him hope. He could reach the sky in one step and become the young head of the hidden House Zhao. Naturally, Qibing wouldn't be as reckless as before. Chapter 1592. Target equals unravel blank. E-search novels. Boss Zhu. You know the situation in the house right now. Grandpa's an isolated practice, and he and Master specifically told us that no matter what happens, we have to bear with it and wait for him to come out of isolation, Qibing said. And that Zhao Qikuan is back as well. If we make any sudden moves and he catches us, we'll be in trouble. I see. Boss Zhu was a loyal follower of the hidden House Zhao's. After hearing Elder Bai and Master Zhao's orders, they naturally had to bear with it. But Boss Zhu was a little confused. Then Master Bing, why did you call me here? Revenge is a given, but not now. Qibing gritted his teeth. That Linny brat, I'll kill him sooner or later. But right now, the most important thing is to find a way to heal Uncle Zhu and let him recover as soon as possible. Even if he can't practice, he needs to stay alive. He's my follower, even if he's a cripple. Qibing, will take care of him. Master Bing, you're truly a wise and kind master. My Zhu brothers, what did we do to deserve Master Bing's favor? Don't worry, Master Bing, Boss Zhu, won't disappoint you. Boss Zhu was touched. Although he felt that Master Bing was putting on an act, since it didn't cost much to take care of a cripple, this friendship was very touching. Secondly, we can't make a move in the open, but we can plan and see if we can do it in the dark. We have to ask my master about this, Qibing said. Boss Zhu, you're a trump card. We can't just use you. Right now, only Grandpa and Master know that you've broken through to Earth class. Qikuan and the others probably don't know yet. So you'll be my trump card for the head of house. We can't reveal ourselves too early. I understand. Elder Zhu quickly nodded his head and replied. I called you here to advise you not to be too impulsive. We need to be careful. Qibing said. Before Grandpa comes out of isolation, we need to stay calm. Don't worry, Master Bing. I won't be rash. I'll look at the big picture. I won't do anything rash. Boss Zhu said. That's good. Qibing said. I've already sent a message to Master. I reckon that Master will soon find out about this. When Qibing messaged House Zhao, he heard that Elder Bai was visiting Elder Zhao. Naturally, he didn't have time to pick up the phone. He'd contact Qibing after the visit was over. While they were talking, Elder Bai's call came in. Qibing, why are you looking for me? Elder Bai, on the other hand, quickly returned Elder Zhao's call upon hearing that Qibing was looking for him. Master, something big happened here. Qibing said, explaining everything to Elder Bai, including his analysis of Boss Zhu. Surprise attack. You did the right thing. Elder Bai praised. To achieve great things, one needs to be able to endure for a moment. Sometimes, compromising doesn't mean admitting defeat, but rather, wisdom. Yes, your disciple will remember your words, Master. Before Grandpa comes out of isolation, we must keep a low profile. Qibing said. What should we do now? Regarding Boss Zhu, I'll think of something, but with his injuries like this, I'm afraid I can't do anything. Let's just wait and see. I can't say that I can cure him, but keeping him alive should be no problem. Ask Boss Zhu to send him to me, Elder Bai said. As for dealing with Lin Yi, there's no need to rush. We'll talk about that after your grandpa comes out of isolation. The old head broke through to Sky Class, and he has some say in the Noble House Council. He can even become one of the elders there. As far as I know, the Aristocratic Family Arbitration Council isn't completely united. After that person left, the elders of the Aristocratic Family Arbitration Council have been occupied by the heaven-rank experts of the various hidden families. At first, everyone was wholeheartedly working for the common good, but now, without news of that person, who would still follow the rules from back then. As far as I know, some people are already eager to change the rules of the Arbitration Association. Oh? So you're saying that there won't be any restrictions on the hidden house's appearance in the common world? Qibing quickly asked. I can't say that there won't be any restrictions, but it's still possible to turn a blind eye, Elder Bai said. Of course, I've only heard a general idea. I don't have a definite conclusion yet. Although the council isn't as united as it used to be, there are still people who are against it. So that's how it is. Then I won't be in a hurry, Qibing nodded. Also, Qikuan is back. You need to be careful as well. I'll help you heal your leg, but the gap between you and Qikuan is too big. Other than your contributions to House Zhao, you don't have much of an advantage over Qikuan. You can't slack off on your training. Elder Bai said. Don't worry, Master. I'll work hard. Qibing wasn't joking. He really did mean it. For the head of house position, he'd decided to give it his all. At first, Linny thought that the hidden house Zhao would do something. At the very least, they'd send an earth class to cause trouble. But after waiting for 2 days, nothing happened. This disappointed Linny. To tell the truth, Linny was willing to do anything for the sake of breaking through. Lin Yi even wanted to fight an earth class to motivate himself to break through. The Linny now was different from the Lin Yi in the tomb. Back then, Linny was only Mystic mid-class peak. Now, Linny was Mystic late class. He was only 2 steps away from Earth class. After all, if he gave it his all, there was a chance that he'd be able to make it. Moreover, this was exactly what he was looking for. But the hidden house Zhao was like a tortoise, not making a sound at all. This made Lin Yi very depressed. In the blink of an eye, it was the day of the class reunion. Lin Yi waited for the masters from House Zhao, but they didn't show up. He could only go to the resort with Ming Yao and Yushu. The resort was located in a small town near Songshan. The scenery here was not bad, but most of it was man-made. But to these students, it didn't matter. They were here to eat, drink, and play, not to see the scenery. Chapter 1593. Target equals _blank. E-Search Novels Chapter 1592. Love sponsored by Zhong Pilyang. Of course, There were also those who had vague feelings for each other back in high school. Due to the stress of the exams, they didn't have the chance to make things clear. Now that they graduated, they had plenty of time and wanted to use this opportunity to get closer to their sweetheart. When Lin Yi's Land Rover stopped at the resort's parking lot, there were already quite a few luxury cars parked there. Lin Yi hadn't realized that there were quite a few rich people in his class, but it made sense. Songshan's first school was a private school, but it was also a school for the rich. Other than Tang Yun, who had exceptional grades, the rest of the students were from decent families. Lin Yi had just parked his car when a Mercedes-Benz SUV stopped next to Lin Yi's car, giving Lin Yi a fright. But when he saw the driver, he smiled faintly. Kang Xiaobo, you bought a car too? Lin Yi smiled as he looked at the temporary license plate on the car. The car hadn't been officially registered yet, so it was obvious that it had just been picked up. Ah, boss, you don't care about me at all, Kang Xiaobo said bitterly as he jumped off the car. I called your house a few times recently, but that Wu Qingtian guy said you were working hard on your cultivation. I didn't dare disturb you. I thought you got a new follower and didn't want me anymore. Ah, Lin Yi smiled. I was a bit busy, that's why I didn't contact you guys. But your follower number 1, and Chantian is at most follower number 3 or 4. He'll have to be more polite when talking to you. He's quite eye-catching. I'm not a practitioner, but he's very respectful to me. Kang Xiaobo nodded. This car was just picked up. Fatty Lai told me to get one a long time ago. He said that I'm the vice chairman of the company, but I don't even have a car. It's a bit too shabby to go out and meet customers. But I was afraid that it would be too high profile, so I only bought it after the college entrance exam. Even though Fatty Lai was the general manager of the medical company and Kang Xiaobo was the vice president, he didn't have any objections when Kang Xiaobo called him Fatty Lai. After all, he was Lin Yi's underling, and in terms of seniority, he was still Kang Xiaobo's underling. How's the company doing? Lin Yi hadn't studied the company for a long time. There had been too many things going on recently, so he hadn't asked about it. The painkiller is already on the market, and the response is very good. There's no problem with the sales volume. It's just that the production line needs to be expanded again. Kang Xiaobo smiled bitterly. Boss, the company's finances are suddenly a lot tighter after you transferred 100 million yuan away. Lin Yi remembered that the 100 million he'd spent on the Ice Palace test was from Fatty Lai. It seemed that he'd have to find a way for Fatty Lai and Xiaobo to earn some money. It seemed that they were in a bit of a tight spot right now. Yeah, when I'm free, I'll think of a way to get some money. Lin Yi was thinking, should House Yu or House Xiao fork out this money? Or should he extort a bit from each? These two families weren't stable, so they better not mess with him. What a miscalculation. When Ice Palace left Xiao Xiao behind, wouldn't it have been better if Lin Yi had asked for the deposit back? Ice Palace wouldn't have refused to give him the deposit. Who knew? They might even give him an extra reward. There's no need to rush. The most we're doing now is breaking even. It'll get better slowly, Kang Xiaobo said. Kang Xiaobo and Lin Yi parked their car, and the resort security came over to help them put up reflective cones to prevent other cars from hitting them. Welcome to Tiandi Resort, the security said politely. Tiandi Resort? Lin Yi paused. He'd only mentioned the resort's name during the class reunion, and since there was a resort in town, he'd forgotten about the resort's name. Now it seemed that Zhou Tiandi owned it. Your boss is Zhou Tiandi? Lin Yi looked at the security and asked casually. Yes, sir. May I ask if you know our boss? The security didn't dare delay. He saw that Lin Yi and Kang Xiaobo were both driving luxury cars here. They might actually know the boss. Oh, I do. Lin Yi nodded. Sir, should we contact the boss? The security asked politely. No need. Lin Yi waved his hand casually. He was only here for a class reunion, and there wasn't anything to do with Zhou Tiandi. Okay. The security didn't say anything else. After locking the car, Lin Yi, Kang Xiaobo, and the others walked to the resort's lobby. There were already some students inside, and when they saw Kang Xiaobo, they surrounded him warmly. There were both men and women. Lin Yi was the boss behind Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company, and only a few people close to him knew about it. However, the fact that Kang Xiaobo was the vice president of Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company was known by everyone in class. After all, Kang Xiaobo had been attending the new product announcements recently, and he'd been interviewed many times by the media. Kang Xiaobo's fame had increased by several folds. Regarding this unknown person who suddenly rose from an unknown person to a general manager, some of the smarter girls couldn't help but beat their chest and stomp their feet. How could they have been so wrong before? Didn't they see Kang Xiaobo's potential? But after asking around, they found out that Kang Xiaobo already had a girlfriend. These people regretted not taking advantage of this opportunity. But now, the students who didn't get into university started thinking, if they could build a good relationship with Kang Xiaobo, it wouldn't be a problem for them to get a position in the medical company, at least for the sake of their old classmate. They didn't need to be in charge of a department or manager. Normal staff would do. After all, Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company was a company with a very good future. Being able to work in it was already very good. Linny patted Kang Xiaobo's shoulder and led Ming Yao and Yu Shu to the sofa in the corner. He wasn't very familiar with his classmates, and in this kind of situation, they were all looking for Kang Xiaobo, so he was even more quiet. A while later, Pin Liang and Xiao Fu arrived as well. The two of them were naturally the targets of flattery from the other students. Pin Liang's family had quite a few businesses, and the students who'd lost their jobs after graduation wanted to make a living from Pin Liang's company. Liang Bro and the class monitor discussed and decided to organize this event together. Originally, the class monitor said that everyone's expenses would be split, and if it wasn't enough, we'd have to use the rest of the class fees as a supplement. But Liang Bro said that he'll be paying for this event. Everyone, eat and drink to your heart's content. Gao Xiaofu saw that almost everyone had arrived, so he announced to everyone. Chapter 1594. Chapter 1593. Zhong Pingliang's toast, that's great. Everyone cheered when they heard that someone was treating them. Although most of the students were from wealthy families, they were happy to be able to save a few hundred RMB in one go. 7 asterisk. Liang Bro has prepared a sumptuous feast for everyone tonight. Let's go to the dining hall, Xiaofu said. It was almost dinner time, and everyone was hungry. After hearing Xiaofu's words, everyone stood up happily and walked towards the dining hall. Linny frowned. He was curious about Zhong Pingliang's behavior. This guy had been quiet for a while. Why was he so active again? Besides, he had no hope of pursuing Mingyao anymore. He knew that. Why was he spending money to treat them? Did he have too much money and nowhere to spend it? It seemed like Zhong Pingliang's family was rich. Linny was worried about the lack of funds. Since this guy was so rich, he would have to go to his father, Zhong Fabai, to get some money. However, Xiaofu didn't mention Mingyao when he was talking, and he didn't even look at Lin Yi. This made Lin Yi even more confused. Could it be that they only wanted to treat them and nothing else? Lin Yi, Mingyao, and Yushu stood up as well. Although they didn't like Zhong Pingliang, they still had to eat. Mingyao was sitting in the corner earlier, and no one dared to approach her. But now that she was walking towards the dining hall, many girls who didn't get into university went up to her. It couldn't be helped. Sometimes, reality was just like that. If Mingyao could help them get a job in one of Pengzhan Industries' subsidiary companies, that would be the best thing that could happen to them. In their eyes, going to university was just for a good job. If they could get into Pengzhan Industries through Mengyao's connections, it would be like reaching the heavens in one step. The miss may have a cold personality, but Linny knew that she was the type of person who was cold on the outside but warm on the inside. They had been classmates for a long time. After all, no matter how good their relationship was, Mingyao still cared about their friendship. Mingyao took out her phone and recorded down the names and phone numbers of those who came to her. She was going to send them to Faubert when the time came, so that Faubert could give them a chance to try. As for whether or not they could do their jobs well, that would depend on themselves. Mingyao wasn't a philanthropist, and this was all she could do to help them. It was the same for Kang Xiaobo. Most of them agreed to give them a chance, but if they couldn't pass the internship, there was nothing they could do. On the web LVS. Even so, everyone was already very happy. One had to know that if one wanted to work in such a big group, they either had a good diploma or a good work experience. It was already very difficult for these high school graduates who didn't have either to get a chance. There were more than 30 people at this reunion, and they were divided into 2 tables. The banquet was quite sumptuous, and Pin Liang didn't lack money. He ordered all kinds of delicacies. They were all classmates, so they didn't need to be reserved. After Pinliang raised his glass and said, "Everyone, don't be shy. Eat and drink to your heart's content." After that, he didn't say anything else. Everyone started to move and toasted each other. The college entrance exam was over, and it didn't matter if they got into college or not, they were all very happy. Needless to say, those who got into college and those who didn't got into college got a job from Kong Xiaobo, Mingyao, and Pinliang. As far as they were concerned, even if one job wasn't good enough, they could always ask for help from others. There were 3 jobs, and there would always be one that suited them. So, these students who were worried about their future were even more excited now. "Shield bro, this crab is delicious. Try it." Yushu gave a crab to Lin Yi. "Shield bro, this beef is delicious. Try it." Yushu gave a piece of beef to Lin Yi. "Shield bro, this pastry is delicious. Try it." Yushu gave a piece of beef to Lin Yi. And so, the food on Lin Yi's plate became a small mountain in a short while. No one was envious of Lin Yi's luck with women. On one hand, Yushu was someone they couldn't reach, and on the other hand, Yushu's strong brother wasn't someone they could handle. Some people speculated that Yushu's brother would come and beat up Lin Yi if he knew that her sister had a boyfriend. What they didn't know was that Qin Yutian was burning incense in the hospital every day, praying for his sister to marry Lin Yi. If that happened, House Qin would be rich. "Lin Yi, let me give you a toast." Suddenly, after 3 rounds of drinking, Pinliang stood up with his glass and said to Lin Yi. The noisy banquet immediately quieted down, and everyone looked at Pinliang strangely. Everyone knew that Pinliang and Lin Yi didn't get along. Ever since Lin Yi transferred schools, the two had a deep conflict. Although Lin Yi won over Pinliang later, Pinliang was still angry. So, Pinliang's toast was a little strange. Lin Yi looked at Pinliang suspiciously as well, not knowing what he was up to. "Xiaofu, pour a glass for Lin Yi." Pinliang didn't care about everyone's gazes and ordered Xiaofu. "Yes." Xiaofu picked up a bottle of wine and opened it himself, raising it respectfully in front of Lin Yi. Lin Yi frowned slightly, but he couldn't reject it in front of everyone. They were classmates after all, and if he didn't accept it now, everyone would think that Lin Yi was a narrow-minded person. Although Lin Yi didn't care, he didn't want to ruin everyone's mood. Lin Yi smiled and raised his glass, letting Xiaofu pour for him. He smiled faintly. "Pinliang, why are you giving me a toast all of a sudden?" "Lin Yi, we had some conflicts before, but now that we've graduated, we're classmates. Let's forget about it." Pinliang said sincerely, "We'll be good classmates from now on, and it'll be hard for us to meet again after graduation. The conflicts in the past don't mean anything anymore. It's all in this glass of wine." "Oh?" Lin Yi looked at Pinliang's sincere face, and his suspicions grew even stronger. He didn't believe that Pinliang was being so nice. Lin Yi had just fought with Zhang Naipeo, and he could see how much Pinliang hated Lin Yi just by looking at Naipeo. How could it be resolved just like that? Could it be that because Zhang Naipeo was crippled, Pinliang felt that he couldn't do anything to Lin Yi anymore, so he compromised? But it didn't seem like it. Target equals Mr. Blank. Chapter 1595. Everyone drinks from Lin Yi's perspective. Pinliang used to be a brainless student, but he disappeared for a while until Zhang Naipeo showed up. Lin Yi realized that Pinliang had been hiding this whole time. This guy wasn't like what he looked like on the surface. He'd actually sent Zhang Naipeo up the mountain to learn martial arts, and that meant that he was determined to deal with Lin Yi. So it was a joke to say that he'd defused the situation now. When Xiaofu was pouring the wine, the jade on Lin Yi's chest sent out a weak warning signal. This made Lin Yi feel that there was a trap here. But this weak signal also indicated that there would be some danger, but it wouldn't be too big. Otherwise, the jade's warning wouldn't be so weak. Lin Yi raised the glass and sniffed. A strong smell of alcohol assaulted his nostrils. The alcohol content of this wine was definitely much higher than the white wine they'd been drinking. Lin Yi looked at the bottle in Xiaofu's hand again. It was no different from the wine they'd been drinking. Lin Yi understood immediately. Pinliang might really be at his wit's end. So he decided to use a friendly method to trip Lin Yi up, trying to get him drunk with a high alcohol content white wine. His goal was clear as well. He wanted Lin Yi to make a fool of himself. As for whether or not there was something wrong with the wine, Lin Yi hadn't considered it. With Lin Yi's medical skills, there was nothing special about the wine other than the high alcohol content. It was Pinliang's idea to change the alcohol in the bottle to something with a high alcohol content. Zhang Naipeo had said that the medicine was colorless, odorless, and odorless. Masters under Earth class wouldn't be able to detect it, but Pinliang was still worried that Lin Yi would get suspicious, so he asked Xiaofu to change the low alcohol content white wine to a high alcohol content white wine. As far as Pinliang was concerned, Lin Yi wasn't an idiot. If he toasted him for no reason, Lin Yi would definitely be suspicious and even refuse. But if he did something to the wine and made Lin Yi think that he was trying to set him up, then Lin Yi might actually believe him. One had to admit that Pinliang's intelligence was on a whole different level compared to before. He had the ability to think in reverse. St. Hall, 7 asterisk, and so, Pinliang really did get what he wanted. It wasn't that Lin Yi was careless, but the medicine was provided by an ancient sect. No matter how good Lin Yi was, his medical skills were only at the top of the common world. In the common world, he could still be called a miracle doctor, but in the hidden world, even someone like Yao Wang could compete with Lin Yi. And so, Lin Yi didn't notice anything else in the wine. He raised his glass and said, "If that's the case, then I'll drink this." St. Hall. Great. Pinliang laughed and raised his glass as well, drinking it in front of Lin Yi. I say, Pinliang, I saw that the wine in your glass was half a glass, wasn't it? That's not nice, is it? Lin Yi said faintly, not drinking the wine. Pinliang paused. He really didn't notice whether his glass was half or full. Then, I'll drink another? He was in a hurry to get Lin Yi to drink the drugged wine, so he was in a hurry. He would rather drink another glass himself. In fact, his glass was full before, and Lin Yi was just teasing him. Lin Yi couldn't drink such a high alcohol content wine himself and let Pinliang take advantage of it, could he? Lin Yi was never one to let others take advantage of him, so Lin Yi planned to let Pinliang have a taste of high alcohol content wine. If they were to get drunk, they'd get drunk together. Besides, Lin Yi wouldn't get drunk at all. This level of alcohol content was worlds apart from old Lin's wine. All right, Fu, fill it up for Pinliang. I can tell that Pinliang is a straightforward person, Lin Yi said. Xiaofu was holding the drugged wine in his hand. He was waiting for Lin Yi to finish before pouring another glass for Lin Yi. Who would have thought that Lin Yi would ask him to pour for Pinliang? Pinliang, on the other hand, was stunned. What should he do? He couldn't ask Xiaofu to change the bar now, could he? That would be too obvious. Wouldn't it be the same as admitting that he had drugged Lin Yi's wine? Xiaofu held the bottle in his hand, unable to back down. Pinliang gritted his teeth. There must be prostitutes in this resort. After he was done drinking, he'd just have to find a prostitute to take care of it. That wouldn't be a problem. At that thought, Pinliang said, Fu, what are you waiting for? Fill it up. Okay. Xiaofu nodded and poured the wine for Pinliang. Just when he thought that everything was fine, Lin Yi spoke up again. Fu, we've had some conflicts in the past, right? Since this is the time, you should have a cup too. 1 cup of wine and we'll forget about the grudge. Xiaofu was helpless, but seeing that Pinliang was pouring the wine, he had no reason to refuse. He had no choice but to pour himself another glass. It was impossible to change the bottle under the watchful eyes of the crowd, and so, the 3 of them raised their glasses, and with a smile, they were all poisoned. Fortunately, the effects of the drug had a time limit. When it didn't take effect, nothing happened. He was no different from a normal person. So, Pinliang forced a smile and ate with everyone. To be honest, a glass of high alcohol content was nothing to someone like Pinliang, whose family owned a nightclub. He started drinking in middle school, so he wouldn't get drunk so easily. Xiaofu, on the other hand, was his usual drinking partner, so he didn't get drunk either. But what they were worried about now was, what should they do about the poison? They had to find a way to vent it. They had a plan later. They had to watch Lin Yi flirt with Ming Yao and ruin Lin Yi's reputation. The banquet was over, and Pinliang distributed the room cards to the students. We've just finished eating, and everyone drank quite a bit. Go back to your rooms and rest. We'll gather at the resort's lobby at 9. I've booked the entertainment room, and we'll all go have some fun. Pinliang said. Fu and I can't hold our liquor, so we'll be going first. No problem. The group took their room cards and went back to their rooms. Lin Yi's room card, however, was for a 3-person suite with Ming Yao and Yushu. What was Pinliang trying to do by putting him with Ming Yao and Yushu? Lin Yi was a little surprised. It was normal for guys to share a room with guys, and girls to share a room with girls. What was Pinliang trying to do? But Pinliang and Xiaofu were already far away. Target equals for blank. Chapter 1596. Chapter 1595. Bad idea. Lin Yi didn't ask any questions and went back to his room with Ming Yao and Yushu. They lived under the same roof back at home, after all, so it wouldn't be awkward to sleep in the same room. Liang bro, didn't we say we'd find a reason to send Yushu away? Why aren't you doing it? Xiaofu asked on the way back to his room. We don't have time, you idiot. We're both drugged, and it's about to act up. We need to get back to our rooms and find a lady to take care of it. Otherwise, we won't have time to catch Lin Yi in the act. Pinliang said. Yeah, you're right. Xiaofu nodded. But Pao said that the drug's too strong, and even if Yushu's willing, Meng Yao's definitely not. When Lin Yi and Xiaofu do it together, let's take a picture together. It'll be fun. That's right. Xiaofu's gotten smarter recently. Pinliang nodded. On the way back to his room, Lin Yi felt that something wasn't right. His body was starting to heat up. With Lin Yi's medical skills, he could tell that this wasn't a sign of him drinking too much, but it was like he'd been drugged with some sort of aphrodisiac. A normal person wouldn't be able to make such a precise judgment, but Lin Yi didn't know how he'd been poisoned. But he knew the symptoms after being poisoned like the back of his hand. Not good. Lin Yi sighed inwardly. He'd been careless, and there had to be something in that glass of wine. The only thing Lin Yi could think of was that glass of wine, but Lin Yi had purposely checked the quality of the wine. There shouldn't be any drugs in it, and Lin Yi was worried that he'd let Pinliang and Xiaofu drink a glass each. That was why Lin Yi had dared to drink it. He didn't think that these two would risk being poisoned just to let him drink it. What was their goal then? Looking at Ming Yao and Yushu beside him, Lin Yi could roughly guess Pinliang's plan. He probably wanted Ming Yao or Yushu to have sex with him, so he could ruin his or Meng Yao's reputation. This kind of trick seemed very ordinary, but if it was done properly, it could produce unexpected results. As for Shu, he was confident that she wouldn't react if he pushed her down, but the miss, it was hard to say. Pinliang might have figured this out, and that was why he came up with this plan. If the miss resisted, Pinliang could record the scene and announce that Lin Yi was a rapist. Even if Ming Yao denied it, Lin Yi's reputation would be greatly affected. Pinliang couldn't do anything to Lin Yi with Zhang Naipeo, and since there was nothing else he could do, it wasn't a bad idea to annoy Lin Yi. Most importantly, everyone was drunk, and he could deny that he was the one who did it, pushing all the blame away. What a smart guy. But Lin Yi was a medical expert, and he didn't mind the aphrodisiac. He could cure himself with acupuncture, but Pinliang and Gao Xiaofu, how were they going to deal with it? Lin Yi suddenly thought of this problem, and a weird smile appeared on his face. He took out his phone and called Zhou Ruoming. Hayashi Lin, what can I do for you? Zhou Ruoming was sleeping at home when he heard his phone ringing. He didn't want to pick it up, and was about to hang it up when he saw Lin Yi's name on the caller ID. It scared him awake, and he quickly picked up the phone. He was a little scared. If he had hung up the phone, he and the Zhou family would have been in trouble. Tiandi Resort is your family's property, right? Lin Yi asked. Templar Web, yes, what can I do for you? Hayashi Lin? Zhou Ruoming was startled. Could it be that the general manager of Tiandi Resort offended Lin Yi? Zhou Ruoming wanted to curse. What trouble? I can't even wait to serve Lin Yi, and you still want to cause trouble for me? Oh, it's nothing. Do you have prostitutes here? Lin Yi asked. Yes. Hayashi Lin needs them. Zhou Ruoming relaxed when he heard that no one offended Lin Yi. Thank goodness nothing happened. Oh, call the manager here. Tell him that there's no prostitutes tonight. Don't let them in, even if they call from outside. Lin Yi said to Zhou Ruoming. I mean, can you do it seriously? Don't worry, Hayashi Lin. I'll do it now. Although Zhou Ruoming didn't know what Linny meant, he didn't need to know. He would do whatever Lin Yi asked him to do. As long as he made Linny happy, everything would be fine. After hanging up the phone, Zhou Ruoming called the manager of the resort urgently and told him what Linny meant. In the end, he threatened, I tell you, if you do it well, I will reward you. If you mess it up, I won't forgive you. It's not that simple. If anything happens to me, I will drag you to hell with me. The manager's heart almost dropped out of his chest when he heard Ruoming's words. He had the backing of House So, and they were all gangsters. If that was the case, then he'd have to get this done. Ruoming didn't want to let House So off the hook. Thus, the manager of the resort had his men gather all the prostitutes together and lock them in the conference room, afraid that they would take private jobs. Then, he ordered all the security guards to close the door of the resort and not receive any guests. The purpose was to prevent a prostitute from sneaking in. Speaking of which, this reason was a little funny, but the resort's experience was carried out meticulously. It was a little confusing. Pinliang and Xiaofu went back to their room and called the service desk, asking them to send 2 girls up. We're a legitimate resort. We don't do this kind of illegal business. Please forgive us, sir. Pinliang and Xiaofu said, We're a legitimate resort. We don't do such illegal business. F***ck. Zhong Pingliang was about to explode. Who were they trying to fool? When he first chose this resort as the gathering place, it was also because he had played here before. At that time, he had found a few prostitutes. So, Zhong Pingliang thought that the person at the front desk was new. He said, Get your lobby manager to call me. What do we do, Liang bro? Is there really no such business here? What should we do? Gao Xiaofu panicked when he heard that. Don't worry, I know their lobby manager. Heibao bro, and I used to play here often. Zhong Pingliang said, missing Heibao bro, sigh. I wonder how Heibao bro is doing. Target equals blank. Chapter 1597. Yeah, we should go visit Heibao bro one day. Xiaofu nodded sadly. Heibao bro is a loyal follower of House Zhong. We can't let him down. Pinliang said that, but he was thinking that Heibao was still useful to them. Truth be told, Heibao's crimes weren't that serious, and he would one day be released from prison. He'd still be useful then. Heibao's identity as the disciple of the everyday and everyday sect was enough to make Naipeo an inner disciple. This was a power that couldn't be underestimated. Heibao's strength wasn't much, but his connections were. And so Pinliang thought that it'd be easier for him to talk to the everyday and everyday sect's leader in the future. Then we'll go visit him in a few days? Xiaofu asked. Sure, but we need to solve the problem in front of us first. Pinliang's mouth was dry, and his body was burning up. It was unbearable. Fortunately, it wasn't long before the manager called. Pinliang introduced himself to the manager. The manager knew Pinliang and knew that he was the one paying for this event. He was very polite to Pinliang. Young Master Zhong, may I know why you're looking for me? Manager Zhong, hurry up and get me 2 girls, pretty ones. We'll talk about the rest later. Pinliang was burning with lust. He didn't want to waste time with the manager. Young Master Zhong, that's not easy. Our resort doesn't provide this kind of service right now. Manager Zhang remembered Master Ming's orders. He wouldn't dare get Pinliang any girls. Bullshit. My family runs a nightclub too. Of course I know that. I still have them the last time I came. Hurry up. Cut the crap. Pinliang panicked after hearing the manager's words. Young Master Zhong, we really don't have them. The CEO emphasized this before, and we're starting to shift our business to legitimate businesses. We don't provide this kind of service anymore. Manager Zhang didn't want to offend Pinliang. After all, Pinliang was a big customer here, and he was in the same line of work as Fabai. Then get me 2 girls from outside. Hurry up. Pinliang couldn't take it anymore. Young Master Zhong, I'm sorry, we don't have any contact information. Why don't you go out and look for it yourself? Manager Zhang said euphemistically. Since he couldn't get the miss into the resort, he could only ask Pinliang to move out of the resort. If he went out, he'd have nothing to do with the resort. But Pinliang wasn't in the mood to look for it. He couldn't wait any longer, and he was unfamiliar with this place. Where was he going to find it? Even if he found two from his own nightclub, it would take more than an hour of driving. It would be too late. Pinliang was filled with hatred. Was there something wrong with this resort? He even turned to the legitimate industry. Of all times, it had to turn now. What about him and Gao Xiaofu? Damn it. I'm never coming to this place again. Pin Liang hung up the phone angrily, but there was nothing he could do. Brother Liang, what should we do? I can't take it anymore. Gao Xiaofu also heard the contents of the phone call and was sweating profusely. What else can we do? I'll go to the washroom and masturbate myself. Pin Liang was at his wit's end. He didn't know if he could release the effects of the drug. Zhang Naipeo didn't say anything. Gao Xiaofu wasn't too willing, but Liang Bro had already masturbated. He had no choice but to follow along. Lin Yi, Meng Yao, and Yushu entered the room. Meng Yao was just about to ask Lin Yi something. What was the meaning of the call to Zhou Ruoming? But Lin Yi's face was completely red. His forehead was covered in sweat, and he looked like a crab that had just been fished out of the pot. Lin Yi, what's wrong? What happened to you? Are you feeling unwell? Meng Yao asked immediately. Oh, Shield Bro seems to have been cooked, Yushu said, shocked. Pinliang, someone put aphrodisiac in the wine. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. He didn't mean to lie to Meng Yao and Yushu. There was no point in hiding something like this. Meng Yao jumped. Then what should we do? Shield Bro, are you feeling unwell? Do you need Shu's help? Yushu asked. Lin Yi took in a deep breath. He almost couldn't hold it in. Wasn't Yushu forcing him to do something he shouldn't do at a time like this? Fortunately, he was an assassin who had gone through strict training. His willpower wasn't something a normal person could compare to. Otherwise, he might have fallen for Shu's words. Seeing Lin Yi's red eyes, Meng Yao knew that Yushu was in trouble. She glared at her. Shu, what are you talking about? I won't help you if Lin Yi pushes you onto the bed. But Shu's not ready yet. Do you want it now? Yushu didn't seem to understand Meng Yao's words at all. Or did she misunderstand? Yao Yao, take her to the side to play. Don't worry about me. Lin Yi didn't know what to do. Was Yushu forcing him to do something wrong? Lin Yi tried to ignore Yushu as he used his pure energy to suppress the drug in his body. He then took out a box of needles from his pocket. Using needles to force out the poison was Lin Yi's forte. As long as he could endure it for a while, he would be fine. Shu. Meng Yao saw Lin Yi's pain. She glared at Yushu and pulled her into the room. Shu, on the other hand, was a little worried. Yao Yao, I heard that it's not easy to cure someone who's poisoned by aphrodisiac. Will Shield Bro be okay? Maybe. I'll take the loss and help him, Yushu said. How are you going to help him? Meng Yao was worried about Lin Yi, but she had no choice. She couldn't sacrifice herself, could she? So she quickly asked after Shu said it. You can use your hands, or something else, Yushu said with her chest puffed up. Meng Yao almost vomited blood. What kind of idea was that? If it really doesn't work, I'll sacrifice myself. I've decided to be Shield Bro's small wife anyway. Yushu didn't care about Meng Yao's reaction and continued. Meng Yao was speechless, but in her heart, Yushu's words stirred up an inexplicable ripple. She didn't know what to feel. If you like this work, you are welcome to vote for me at Chidian. Your support is my greatest motivation. Target equals _blank. Chapter 1598. Chapter 1597. Inner struggle. If Shu wasn't here, would Lin Yi be with her if he couldn't handle it? Meng Yao suddenly had a faint anticipation in her heart, but at the same time, she felt that her thoughts were too ridiculous. She didn't even like him, and he liked Tang Yun. But did he really not like her? Yao Yao, what's wrong? Yushu looked at the weird expression on Meng Yao's face and asked curiously. Holy hell no. Nothing. Meng Yao shook her head, dispelling her unrealistic thoughts. Then, should I go help? Yushu asked impatiently. Don't cause trouble. Lin Yi said that he has a solution. Meng Yao didn't know why, but she didn't want Yushu to go over. Lin Yi was stabbing the acupuncture points all over his body, but Lin Yi heard the conversation between Meng Yao and Yushu very clearly. Lin Yi smiled bitterly, trying his best not to think about those evil thoughts. Towards Yao Yao and Shu, Lin Yi naturally liked them. Humans weren't plants. How could they be emotionless? Plus, they'd lived together for so long, and they had a strange feeling for each other. Although Tang Yuan had more or less acquiesced to the Miss and Shu's existence, Lin Yi really couldn't tell what they were thinking. The Miss's feelings seemed to be right, but they weren't. Website, under Yushu's silly passion, it was hard to tell what was real and what was fake. Plus, Lin Yi already had Tang Yuan and Xiao Xiao. If something really happened with the Miss or Shu here, Lin Yi wouldn't be able to get past himself. Even if he wanted to do it, Lin Yi would ask for Tang Yuan's opinion first. This was the most basic respect. Lin Yi couldn't do whatever he wanted just because of Tang Yuan's connivance. However, Lin Yi soon discovered that the method of detoxification with silver needles didn't seem to have any effect on him. His body temperature was still rising. The drug's effects seemed to have taken effect, but Lin Yi didn't show any signs of reversing. His heart grew stronger and stronger, causing Lin Yi's expression to become even more ferocious and terrifying. However, Lin Yi still maintained his rationality. He sat cross-legged on the ground and asked Zhao Yazi anxiously, "Zhao Lao, what should I do now?" The situation seems to be very serious. Why don't you try using your zhenqi to dissolve it?" Zhao Yazi thought for a moment and said, "Your energy is an all-purpose energy. Can you see if you can convert this energy to reduce the medicinal effects in your body?" "All right." Lin Yi nodded and entered the space of the jade pendant. He activated the art of dragon mastery and used the energy in the space to neutralize the aphrodisiac poison in his body. However, what surprised Lin Yi was that it seemed to have some effect. However, the aphrodisiac's effects seemed to be extremely overbearing. Every bit of it he refined required a large amount of energy to enter his body. However, this was still better than nothing. Lin Yi had time. In another room of the resort, Zhong Pingliang and Gao Xiaofu were panting and sweating from exhaustion. "Liang bro, I can't do it either. My arm is about to break." Gao Xiaofu said with a bitter face, "Pao's medicine is a little too overbearing, isn't it?" "Who said it wasn't? My arm is about to break too, but we need to work harder. Think about Lin Yi. We need to hurry, or it'll be meaningless if we're late." Zhong Pingliang said, "Let's sing a song. Let's work harder." "Sing? Okay. What song?" Gao Xiaofu asked. "Weibo, sing with me. 1, 2, 3. Ready. Ready. Calabash Brothers. Calabash Brothers." Zhong Pingliang sang loudly. And so, they started singing in the washroom, and the two were full of energy. Lin Yi's energy and the medicine clashed, and under the pain, white steam came out of his forehead. It was so hot that Lin Yi was smoking. "Yao Yao, it's bad. Shield bro's on fire." Yushu saw the white steam coming out of Lin Yi's forehead and screamed, Then, what should we do?" Meng Yao was also shocked. "Should we turn the air conditioner to the max?" Yushu quickly found the remote control and turned the air conditioner to the max. But even with the air conditioner turned on, the steam on Lin Yi's forehead didn't decrease at all. It was still coming out of his forehead. "Why don't we find 2 fans and fan him? It'll cool him down a little?" Yushu said after seeing that the air conditioner wasn't working. "Okay." Meng Yao, on the other hand, was in a desperate situation. There were plantain fans in the hotel room, and she and Yushu each took a fan and started fanning Lin Yi's left and right sides. He saw what Meng Yao and Yushu were doing, but it didn't have much effect. However, Lin Yi didn't have the energy to talk anymore. He was gritting his teeth and using his qi to neutralize the medicine in his heart. Energy gathered around Lin Yi's body, rushing into his body at an unbelievable speed. However, as it fought against the effects of the drug, the energy dissipated into nothingness. This speed of energy absorption made Lin Yi speechless. Even when he broke through, he didn't need this much energy, did he? But neutralizing this medicine did require this much energy. It was unbelievable to Lin Yi, but at the same time, he was shocked. Where did this Zhong Pingliang get such a strong medicine? Did Zhang Naipeo give it to him? Now that he thought about it, it wasn't impossible. "Elder Jiao, this medicine is too strong. I can't take it anymore," Lin Yi said bitterly as he absorbed the energy, trying to dissolve the medicine in his body. "Oh, then you do it," Zhao Lao said. "Do it? How do I do it?" Lin Yi asked. 5 against 1. Zhao Lao said. This medicine looks strong, but since your qi can neutralize it, it means that you don't need to have sex with someone to neutralize it. You can do it with your hands, but judging from how strong the medicine is, it'll take at least an hour or two. Linny didn't know what to say. Running to the washroom to take a 2-hour flight? What kind of joke was that? It'd be fine if Ming Yao and Yushu weren't here, but they were here. He'd be a laughing stock if he went. What else? Lin Yi asked helplessly. Then you'll have to continue neutralizing it, Zhao Yazi said. With your current strength and the endless energy in the jade space, you can neutralize it, but it'll take some time. As long as I can neutralize it, Lin Yi gritted his teeth and decided to continue neutralizing it. An hour later, Pinliang and Xiaofu finally solved the problem. Both of them were so tired that they almost collapsed from exhaustion. Currently, both of them couldn't even lift their arms. Target equals _blank. Chapter 1599. Chapter 1598. Watching a good show, Liang bro. What kind of medicine is this? Why is it so strong? If only I could be as brave as today, Xiaofu said. 7 asterisk. Who knows? I'm so tired today. My kidneys aren't good to begin with. This is a trap, Pinliang said helplessly. That Linny sure is cunning. He made us drink too. But we have to go check on Lin Yi's side right now. We don't know if he succeeded. Okay. Xiaofu put the camera on his back, but the weight of the camera almost collapsed his shoulder. The two quickly left the room. It was almost 9 at night. Pinliang's heart was filled with regret. If they went now, Lin Yi might have already succeeded. Without Ming Yao's resistance, it would be meaningless. At that thought, Pinliang's evil thoughts rose. He walked into the lobby of the resort and saw that most of his classmates had rested and were waiting for Pinliang and Xiaofu in the lobby. Sorry for the wait. Now, I'll treat you all to a good show, Pinliang said to the students in the lobby. Everyone, come with me. Pinliang was going to call everyone to see Lin Yi. Even if Lin Yi succeeded after some hesitation, wouldn't it be embarrassing to be seen by everyone? Plus, Meng Yao wouldn't be able to face the world anymore. However, Pinliang thought to himself, if he couldn't get what he couldn't get, then no one else could. If he couldn't get Meng Yao, then he'd destroy her reputation. The students didn't know what kind of show Pinliang was going to treat them to, but they didn't think much about it. They all followed Pinliang to Lin Yi's room. As far as they were concerned, Pinliang was the one who arranged this event. Naturally, they would listen to him. When they reached Lin Yi's room, Pinliang couldn't wait any longer. He slammed into Lin Yi's door. Time was of the essence, and he did not want to waste a single second. With a bang, Lin Yi's door flew open, but it wasn't as hard as Pinliang had imagined. Lin Yi's door wasn't locked at all. Lin Yi went back to his room to train against the poison, and Meng Yao and Yushu, on the other hand, were busy helping Lin Yi dissipate the heat. Neither of them cared if the door was locked or not. Holy church, and so, tragically, Zhong Pingliang fell headfirst into the room, falling flat on his face due to inertia. Everyone, please look. Xiaofu didn't have time to worry about Pinliang. He was afraid that Lin Yi would come up with a countermeasure, so he quickly asked the students to look into the room. Hence, the scene in the room appeared before everyone's eyes. Meng Yao and Yushu, one on the left and one on the right, were fanning Lin Yi. What is this? A student asked curiously after taking a look. Is there something wrong with you? You want us to look at this? Xiaobo had tagged along as well, and was the first to object. Xiaofu was an idiot, wasn't he? Lin Yi was clearly enjoying the fanning of two beauties, and Pinliang was interrupting him. Yeah, what's there to see? Although the students were a little envious of Lin Yi, they didn't think that it was a drama. Wasn't it just fanning? What was there to see? Xiaofu was dumbfounded as well. What was going on? Wasn't Lin Yi supposed to push Meng Yao and Yushu down? Why were the three of them fanning themselves, all neatly dressed? Pinliang got up from the ground, confused as well. No way. Lin Yi was fine. He looked around the room suspiciously, but it didn't seem like anything had happened. Plus, he was sure that if Lin Yi really had something going on with Meng Yao and Yushu, it wouldn't have ended so quickly. He even had his clothes on and was fanning himself. After all, He and Xiaofu used their hands for a long time. How could Linny be so fast? Actually, I wanted to show everyone what a plantain fan is. This plantain fan is the specialty of this resort. Xiaofu said, I just wanted to show everyone how to use this plantain fan. Back then, Flaming Mountain was destroyed with this fan. Boring, boring. The students didn't say much since this event was sponsored by Pinliang, but they still turned around and left without any interest. Are you two crazy? Shield Bro is sleeping. He's resting. Why are you guys making a ruckus? Looking at the plantain fan, is your mom the Iron Fan Princess? Yushu knew what was going on when she saw Pinliang and Xiaofu rush in. They were the ones who gave Lin Yi the aphrodisiac, so they came here to catch them in the act. Fortunately, Lin Yi was strong enough to neutralize the drug's effects. Otherwise, he would have been seen naked by these people. I see. Then we won't disturb you anymore. We'll be leaving first. Sorry, we just wanted to look at the plantain fan. Xiaofu knew that Yushu wasn't someone to be messed with, and Lin Yi was fine. If Lin Yi went crazy, he and Pinliang would be in trouble. Lin Yi even dared to beat up Zhang Naipeo. The two had no choice but to turn around and leave with their tails between their legs. Lin Yi kept his eyes closed and didn't say a word. Everyone thought that Lin Yi was asleep, but in fact, Lin Yi wasn't asleep, he was fighting against the drug. Although Lin Yi heard Pinliang and Naipeo's voices, he ignored them. The drug in his body was getting lesser and lesser, which made Lin Yi heave a sigh of relief. It seemed that his hard work wasn't in vain, and there were still results. Finally, as time passed, the drug in Lin Yi's body was getting lesser and lesser. Even if Lin Yi didn't use his qi to refine it, he could still resist it, but Lin Yi still decided to refine it all. After all, this aphrodisiac was different from normal. Who knew if there would be any side effects? Thus, Lin Yi continued to use his energy to refine the drug in his body, and finally, the drug was completely refined by Lin Yi. Phew! Just as Lin Yi let out a sigh of relief, the next moment, something unbelievable happened. The drug was refined, but the thing that refined the drug was the energy of the jade pendant space. After the drug was refined, it became the qi in Lin Yi's body. Before, there was the drug, but Lin Yi didn't notice it. But now that the drug was gone, the extra qi was a little obvious. Moreover, the qi formed by the drug wasn't just a little bit. Lin Yi felt like his meridians were about to explode. He was focused on refining the drug before, so he didn't notice this, but now it was too late. Target equals _blank. Chapter 1600. Breakthrough. Mystic Queen Peak. Lin Yi felt as if his body was about to explode with a boom. However, Lin Yi was pleasantly surprised after the momentary shock. He was too familiar with this feeling. It was the feeling of breaking through. Lin Yi felt the same every time he broke through, and it was the same this time as well. Lin Yi didn't think that refining the aphrodisiac in his body could help him break through. It was unbelievable. But Lin Yi thought about what happened to Lingshan, and he didn't think it was weird anymore. Perhaps Lingshan's breakthrough was because of this? In fact, Lingshan's breakthrough was completely different from Lin Yi's. Lingshan had been suppressing herself at that level for a long time, and suddenly, she was stimulated mentally and psychologically, and with the special nature of house songs arts, she broke through. Lin Yi, on the other hand, was using his energy to refine the medicine, and because there was too much medicine in his body, Lin Yi had to keep refining it, and the qi formed after refining was gathered in Lin Yi's body. Because the aphrodisiac was already in Lin Yi's body, so the qi that was refined was also in Lin Yi's body. This was different from Lin Yi directly absorbing the energy. Directly absorbing it, after a certain amount, it couldn't be absorbed anymore. Using the medicine to refine it, although the body couldn't absorb qi anymore, the qi that was refined in his body couldn't be exited. This was also why Lin Yi broke through, becoming a mystic late-phase peak. Fortunately, Lin Yi was different from Yutian and Lingshan. Lin Yi was training in the jade space, and he didn't have to worry about his clothes exploding and being seen by Mengyao and Yushu. Pinliang, you and your men really are my lucky stars, helping me break through 2 levels in a row. Should I thank you? Or should I hate you? Lin Yi muttered to himself, shaking his head with a bitter smile. Pinliang wanted to harm him, but he ended up helping him instead. Linny was just worrying about not being able to break through, but he broke through just like that. Jiao Lao, I broke through just like that? Linny asked with a bitter smile. Templar LVS. Yes, I broke through. Haven't you always wanted to break through? Didn't you get what you wanted? Zhao Yazi smiled lightly. But what is this? Will I be able to use this method to break through in the future? This was the question that Linny was most concerned about. Linny roughly understood the principle of breakthrough, so Linny was thinking whether he could use the same method to break through in the future. Every time you make a breakthrough, it's unimaginable. Zhao Yazi didn't know what to say. I've never heard of many of your breakthrough methods. Who knows if you can do it again next time? In other words, it's possible to try? Linny asked in surprise. Holy Church, I didn't say that. Zhao Yazi shook his head. As far as I know, Mystic to Earth class is a hurdle. Some people can't cross this hurdle their entire lives, stuck at the peak late phase of Mystic class. So, if the breakthrough method is the same, then I'm afraid that all practitioners can easily break through this hurdle. The way to break through from Mystic to Earth class is different. Oh? Linny frowned. So you're saying that it's not easy to break through from Mystic to Earth class? Yes. Zhao Yazi nodded. Look at the hidden houses. There are a lot of people at the peak late phase of Mystic class, but there aren't many Earth class masters. Some people have been stuck at the peak late phase of Mystic class for many years. If they could break through using normal methods, why would they still be stuck there? Isn't it hard to break through from Earth class to Sky class? Why is it so hard to break through from Mystic class to Earth class? Linny smiled bitterly. It's even harder. Zhao Yazi said. From Earth class to Sky class, not many people have been able to do it since ancient times. Sky class is still very far away. I wonder how I can reach Earth class right now. Linny smiled bitterly. From the looks of it, this cultivation method of consuming pills and refining himself wasn't going to work anymore. How would I know? Zhao Yazi rolled his eyes. I can't understand any of your breakthrough methods. You should go and create your own. Linny had no choice but to come back to reality from the Jade space. Although he couldn't find a way to break through to Mystic class for now, Linny was very satisfied with his progress. If he worked hard, it should be possible for him to break through to Earth class before the meeting of the noble houses. Shield bro, are you all right? Yushu was surprised and happy to see Lin Yi open his eyes. I'm fine. Thank you guys. Linny stood up and smiled. It's fine. This is what we should do. You've protected us for so long. It's time for us to do something for you. Yushu said. Even if we have to sacrifice ourselves, it's fine. Shu. Mengyao scolded Yushu. Yushu was talking nonsense again. Haha. Linny smiled. Let's go. Didn't Pinliang say that we'll meet at 9? Let's go and see if there's anything fun. Shield bro, are you going to teach them a lesson? Yushu felt that Linny was drugged. Teach them a lesson? Why teach them a lesson? Linny smiled. I can't wait to thank them. Thank them? Yushu and Mengyao froze. If it weren't for them, I wouldn't be able to break through. I'm already at the peak of late phase of Mystic class. Linny smiled. So, why would I teach them a lesson? Waha, are you serious? Shield bro, you're so strong. Yushu's eyes widened. You can break through like that? If we take the aphrodisiac every day, wouldn't we become Sky class masters in no time? Lin Yi almost fainted. He smiled bitterly. It's just a coincidence. If I take the aphrodisiac every day, I don't know what's going to happen. That's right. Shu, don't come up with random ideas. Mengyao thought that it was impossible as well. If they could really break through by taking drugs, wouldn't there be masters everywhere? The three walked to the resort's lobby as they conversed. Pinliang, Xiaofu, and the other students had already returned to the lobby and were talking to each other. Pinliang and Xiaofu, on the other hand, saw Lin Yi, Mengyao, and Yushu walking over. Fear flashed across their eyes. If Linny knew that they were behind this, would he do something to them? Isn't this Lin Yi? I'm just waiting for you. Pinliang sighed, putting on a smile as he walked over. We were all here just now. You guys were the only ones left. I was just thinking about looking for you. But you were sleeping. Pinliang came up with an excuse, saying that they had a group activity tonight and Linny was absent. So they went looking for him. Target equals for blank. Chapter 1601. Oh, didn't you guys go to see the plantain fan? Linny sneered as he asked indifferently. Haha, that's just a joke. Zhong Pingliang laughed. Lin Yi, since you're here, let's start the next step of the activity? Sure, Linny said indifferently, but I don't know. Can you still move your arm? It seems like you're feeling a little weak. Do you need me to help you treat it? You have to know. I'm a doctor too. I drank too much just now and my body was burning up, so I gave myself acupuncture and slept for a while. I'm fine now. Lin Yi didn't have the intention to punish Zhong Pingliang right now. After all, if he beat Zhong Pingliang up in front of so many classmates, the reunion wouldn't be able to continue. Pingliang, on the other hand, was harming Lin Yi, but benefiting him instead. This way, the hatred in Lin Yi's heart towards Zhong Pingliang lessened. A few mocking words were fine. Lin Yi really didn't put a small character like Zhong Pingliang in his eyes now. His subordinate, Zhang Naipeo, was Lin Yi's true rival. Zhong Pingliang heard Lin Yi's words, and his face turned pale. Lin Yi's words were very clear. He knew that he was drugged, but he used acupuncture to solve it. And he also hinted that his arm was weak, so he must have guessed what he did before. This made Zhong Pingliang speechless. I don't need treatment, right? I have rheumatism. It's an old problem. Zhong Pingliang said awkwardly. Oh, Linny smiled weirdly. I was the one who asked the girls here to go home on holiday. The conversation between Lin Yi and Zhong Pingliang seemed to be incoherent, but both of them knew what they were talking about. Zhong Pingliang heard Lin Yi's words. Only then did he understand why he couldn't find the girls before. So it was Lin Yi's doing. Pingliang suddenly remembered that Tiandi Resort was Zhou Tiandi's property, and that Zhou Ruoming was behaving like a grandson in front of Lin Yi. He immediately understood what was going on. Lin Yi had deliberately set him and Gao Xiaofu up. However, even so, he couldn't say a word of grievance. He could only swallow his grievances. Wasn't all of this caused by himself? Fortunately, nothing happened between Meng Yao and Lin Yi. He didn't see anything unusual in the room, and Meng Yao's gait was normal when she walked in, so he couldn't see anything out of the ordinary. However, Lin Yi admitted that he didn't do anything with Meng Yao, which made Pingliang feel relieved. Although he was jealous that Meng Yao couldn't be his girlfriend, he didn't want the goddess in his heart to be tainted by others unless he had no other choice. Since he couldn't mess with Lin Yi, he would just have to think of a way to get intimate with Meng Yao. Pingliang, on the other hand, didn't expect Meng Yao to like him. He understood now that Meng Yao and Yushu had never liked him. Therefore, it was Pingliang's dream to take advantage of Meng Yao. Since Lin Yi couldn't take advantage of Meng Yao, Pingliang didn't mind taking advantage of her. Lin Yi's tolerance from before made Pingliang even more courageous. From what he could see, the reason why Lin Yi didn't attack him was probably because of Naipeo. Naipeo's meridians were all destroyed. However, the second level of the Chrysanthemum Treasured Codex had been unlocked. This was great news. Presumably, Lin Yi had also received this news. That was why Lin Yi did not retaliate even after he was drugged with an aphrodisiac. All he did was make a few sarcastic remarks. So you did it. Pingliang thought about it and started acting cocky again. But it's nothing. I'll just treat it as training. Don't you feel good about it? Oh, right. I really have to thank you. Lin Yi smiled. Your follower Zhang Naipeo helped me break through to Mystic Late Phase, and the aphrodisiac you gave me helped me break through to Mystic Late Phase Peak. You guys are really my lucky stars. Pingliang paused. He didn't expect Lin Yi to break through again and become a Mystic Late Phase Peak, and it was all because of him. Pingliang regretted it a little. If he knew this would happen, he wouldn't have set him up. But on the surface, Pingliang didn't back down. Right, Pao told me to tell you. Thank you for crippling his arts and blowing up his meridians. The chrysanthemum arts he practices is something that can't be rebuilt without destruction. If he didn't become a cripple, he wouldn't be able to practice the second stage of the arts. Is that so? Lin Yi's heart was in turmoil. He thought that Naipeo was crippled, and even if he recovered, it wouldn't be this easy. He didn't think that he'd unintentionally helped him. What was this? Helping each other? They were even? Lin Yi couldn't help but laugh at the thought. Naipeo and Pinliang had helped him break through 2 levels, and he had helped Naipeo unlock the second stage of his arts. Looking at it like that, no one had the upper hand. Of course, Linny had broken through 2 levels, so he had the upper hand. Pinliang saw the slight change in Lin Yi's face, and he was very pleased with himself. It seemed like he'd won a round, and it seemed like Lin Yi was still quite afraid of Naipeo. What he didn't know was that Lin Yi was looking at Naipeo in a different light, but he wasn't afraid of him at all. As for Pinliang, Lin Yi didn't need to cause him any trouble at all. Lin Yi understood now that Naipeo seemed to be living to avenge Pinliang. If he did anything to Pinliang now, the kid might really bring the elders of the everyday sect over to fight him. In these troubled times, Lin Yi had a lot of enemies, and he didn't have the power to go against the everyday sect. Letting Pinliang go for now wasn't a compromise, but a smart move. Pinliang laughed and ignored Lin Yi. He was ready to activate his second plan. Pinliang glanced at Xiaofu, indicating that he could speak now. Everyone's full now, and it's a long night without sleep. I suggest that we play a game together. I wonder if everyone supports this idea? Xiaofu represented Zhong Pinliang, and the suggestion to play a game was also Zhong Pinliang's idea. All right, let's play a game then. Xiaofu's suggestion got everyone's approval. After all, they couldn't just sit in the lobby of the resort and chat, could they? What was the point of gathering like that? They might as well chat in the group chat. Target equals _blank. Chapter 1602. Alright, since everyone agrees, then I'll talk about the rules and how to play the game. Gao Xiaofu nodded and said, currently, we have graduated from high school and are heading to university. We are all adults, but many of our classmates have not tasted the taste of love. So, for the sake of our future love, the game we are playing today is called Safe Kiss. Safe Kiss? Some students knew about this game and immediately cheered excitedly. Yes, it's Safe Kiss. I believe everyone has seen similar games in novels and TV dramas. Some variety shows often have such games too. Gao Xiaofu explained. It's 2 people kissing through a layer of plastic wrap or glass. This way, everyone can experience the exciting feeling of love without losing out to each other. What do you think? Okay, the boys were the first to agree. In fact, most of the boys had a goddess in their hearts. It was just that because of the college entrance examination, they didn't confess and didn't develop. But now that they had graduated, they didn't have to be so nervous about their studies anymore. Everyone's minds were more active. If they could kiss their favorite goddess, it would be a very refreshing thing. However, the girls were a little shy. After all, most girls were still very conservative. This kind of safe kiss game was really a little too bold. Gao Xiaofu naturally saw all of this, so he began to make a fuss again. This kind of safe kiss is often seen on variety shows on TV. Those celebrities even play with their fans. Look at that pure jade girl celebrity. What's her name? Didn't she play Safe Kiss with her fans before? This safe kiss is called Safe Kiss because it's very safe. It won't let anyone lose out to each other. Moreover, everyone drew lots to decide who would be the winner. It's absolutely fair and just. It had to be said that Gao Xiaofu was very good at making a fuss. Moreover, everyone had more or less drunk a little. They were a little hot-headed. The girls also thought about it. Yes, it's just kissing through glass or plastic wrap. They won't lose out to each other. However, there were still some girls who were hesitant. This was because they already had some ambiguous feelings with some of the boys in their class. Although they didn't make their relationship clear, they had some feelings for each other. At this time, if he played a safe kiss with someone else, although it wasn't a big deal, it wouldn't be fun if the other party got jealous. Upon hearing the whispers of the people below, Gao Xiaofu was quick-witted and quickly said, "Write the girls' names as tags and let the boys draw lots. Between the boys who drew lots, they can also choose to exchange. If they are a couple, they can't steal each other's love, right?" Gao Xiaofu's words dispelled the last of the girls' doubts. If they could be swapped, then things would be much easier. Although the couple in the class didn't make it clear, everyone knew what was going on. No one would interfere. Wouldn't that make everyone uncomfortable? Moreover, both boys and girls are welcome. Therefore, under Gao Xiaofu's persuasion, most of the students agreed. Meng Yao, on the other hand, frowned. What kind of ridiculous game is this? I don't want to play. Shoo, let's not participate. Don't, Yao Yao. What if Shield Bro draws us? Yushu didn't want to give up this chance to have fun. Ming Yao wanted to reject it, but after hearing Yushu's words, she didn't know why, but she didn't want to reject it anymore. She hesitated, but didn't say anything against it. Pin Liang and Xiaofu started making paper slips, preparing to let everyone draw lots. When you're making Meng Yao's tag later, make a slip with a corner missing. That way, I'll be able to draw it. Pin Liang still hadn't given up on Meng Yao. He saw that Lin Yi wasn't able to take advantage of him, and now he was getting excited. He'd been holding it in for too long, and now he was ready to explode. Through his conversation with Lin Yi, it seemed like Lin Yi was quite wary of Zhang Naipeo's rebirth, and so he grew bolder. Plus, this was a group activity, and he was following the rules. Even if Lin Yi wasn't happy about it, he wouldn't do anything to him. If he did, people would think that he was a sore loser. Lin Yi was only one step away from Earth class, and his eyes and ears were sharper than before. Pin Liang had lowered his voice, but Lin Yi heard him clearly. This was the advantage of a practitioner, and it was also why a sky class like Bingtang could stand on top of a snowy mountain and control the whole situation. There were only 30 or so people here, and there were only a dozen or so girls, so it didn't take long for the lots to be drawn. Xiaofu placed the lot in a box and whispered to Pin Liang, "Liang bro, I put Ming Yao's tag on the corner of the box and didn't tear off a corner. It'd be too obvious." "And not bad, you're quite smart." Pin Liang nodded approvingly. This way, no one would suspect anything, and normal people wouldn't be able to get Meng Yao's tag, who would feel around the corners of a box. However, this sentence was heard clearly by Lin Yi, who wasn't far away. "Now, let's draw lots. We have fewer boys and more girls, so there must be some girls who didn't get picked. But it's okay, those who didn't get picked, you can choose who you want to play with. Of course, you can also forfeit," Xiaofu said. "Now, let's draw lots." The boys were eager to try, and as soon as Xiaofu finished speaking, they ran over excitedly to draw lots. Some of the boys with girls they liked started praying in their hearts, hoping to get the girl they liked. The girls, on the other hand, were thinking about their Prince Charming. While they were drawing lots, Pin Liang took out the plastic wrap he had prepared beforehand and distributed it to the girls one by one. It was made very specially. The frame was square, and there was a fixed handle at the bottom. The plastic wrap was placed on the frame, forming a barrier. When using it, the girl only needed to hold this thing in front of her mouth. They didn't have to worry about being taken advantage of. Meng Yao and Yushu got one each. Meng Yao wasn't interested, but Yushu was curious about the structure of the thing, trying to see if she could break it. Lin Yi wasn't very interested in games like this, but in order to prevent Meng Yao and Yushu from being taken advantage of, Lin Yi had to do it himself. Target equals _blank. Chapter 1603. See for yourself, boss. Are you confident? Kang Xiaobo had a girlfriend and wasn't very interested in this game. What confidence? Meng Yao and Yushu? Lin Yi asked. Yeah, I secretly checked for you before. Yushu's tag is shorter than normal. It's the last one, and there's no cover left. We'll be able to tell if we compare it. But Meng Yao's tag is no different, Kang Xiaobo said quietly. Not bad, kid. You know how to be a spy now. Lin Yi smiled. How about this? You can take out Shu's tag later. Is that okay? No way. I wouldn't dare. Kang Xiaobo shook his head. Shu would definitely be Lin Yi's woman in the future, and Kang Xiaobo's sister-in-law. Even if she wasn't, he had a girlfriend already. Wouldn't Xiaofan be furious if she knew? So, naturally, Kang Xiaobo rejected Lin Yi's suggestion. Haha, can't I pick someone else? Why don't you just appoint me then? Lin Yi smiled. That's true. Kang Xiaobo's eyes lit up. All right, boss, leave it to me. I'll definitely complete the mission. The boys who had drawn their lots were all hiding and cautiously running to the side to look at their lots. Those who had drawn their favorite goddess were naturally beaming with joy. However, those who didn't draw their favorite goddess were naturally frowning at this moment, thinking about who to swap with. The unluckiest ones were those who didn't have a goddess they liked, but they just had to draw the tag of a girl they didn't like. It was really frustrating. Of course, there were also those who drew the ugly girl's tag. Holy Hallwin, it was Lin Yi's turn. Lin Yi put his hand into the box and found a tag in the corner, according to Gao Xiaofu's instructions. Lin Yi squeezed it in his hand and put another tag in the box. After Lin Yi, it was Kong Xiaobo's turn. Kong Xiaobo searched the box for a long time and finally found the missing tag. Luckily, both of them drew it early. If someone else drew it, Lin Yi would have to take it by force. But then again, even if Yushu's tag fell into someone else's hands, no one would dare to not return it to Lin Yi. They were afraid of Yushu, but they were also afraid of Lin Yi. Boss, mission completed. Kong Xiaobo said to Lin Yi happily. Not bad. Lin Yi nodded and walked towards Meng Yao and Yushu. How was it, Shield Bro? Did you draw Shu? Yushu asked impatiently. Holy Hall Lin Yi smiled and passed the tag to Yushu. Yushu saw Lin Yi's movements, thinking that she was the one he drew. She was very happy, but when she saw the name on the tag, she was disappointed, but still happy. Yao Yao, it's you? Is that so? Meng Yao felt an inexplicable surge of excitement in her heart, but on the surface, she kept her cool. It's all right. At least it's better than a stranger. Huh? Lin Yi smiled and didn't reply. Yushu, on the other hand, looked around and wanted to see who drew her tag. She was going to ask that person to choose Lin Yi. Otherwise, Yushu wouldn't let him have it easy. Let someone else kiss him? What a joke. What are you looking for? Lin Yi asked, amused. I'm looking to see who drew my tag, Yushu said. Yours is with Kong Xiaobo. Lin Yi smiled. Ah. Yushu blinked, understanding what Lin Yi meant. She smiled happily. Okay, so he'll pick you, right? Probably. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. Oh. Yushu was happy. I've tried kissing Shield Bro, but I've never tried a safe kiss like this before. Yushu's words made Lin Yi sweat. Kissing directly? That was mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, all right? In order to show their fairness, Pinliang and Xiaofu were the last two to draw, and Pinliang's tag was the one that Lin Yi put in the corner of the box. Xiaofu's face turned bitter as he looked at the tag in his hand. The one he drew was the second ugliest girl in the class reunion, Jin Ruhua. Not only was her face fat, but she was also extremely short, even prettier than Ruhua in the movies. Liang Bro, what do I do? Why am I so unlucky? Xiaofu looked at the tag in his hand and wanted to cry. Ha ha ha. Pinliang couldn't help but laugh when he saw Xiaofu's tag. You're too smart for your own good. You prepared a tag for me. Why didn't you prepare one for yourself? Are you happy now? It wasn't that Xiaofu didn't want to prepare one. He wanted to sneak a tag in his hand and pretend to draw it. But it was summer, and everyone was wearing short sleeves. He couldn't hide the tag in his hand. He wasn't a magician, so he had to draw it himself. The reason why he made Yushu's tag shorter was because he wanted to draw it himself and give it to Lin Yi. Xiaofu didn't have a girl he liked in the class, and he was just playing along with Pinliang. It didn't matter if he played or not. But now, he had drawn Jin Ruhua. No matter who he chose, no one could accept it. He had no choice but to do it himself. On the other side, Pinliang was laughing at Xiaofu as he held up his tag. His eyes widened in shock when he saw what it was. The name on the tag in his hand wasn't Meng Yao, but the ugliest girl in the class, Mei Ruxian. She was as beautiful as a goddess. Not only was her face full of holes, her eyes and mouth were crooked, and she had a mouth full of yellow teeth. Her breath could be smelled from 10 feet away. Pinliang almost fainted when he thought about how he played the safe kiss with someone like this. Liang Bro, what's wrong? Xiaofu paused. He didn't know what was wrong with Pinliang. Xiaofu, Liang Bro's tag is for you to complete later. You have to complete it. Pinliang passed the tag to Xiaofu and patted him on the shoulder, his tone serious. Huh. Xiaofu paused. Liang Bro, aren't you going to kiss Meng Yao? See for yourself, Pinliang said. Xiaofu opened the tag Pinliang gave him, a little confused. Target equals blank. Chapter 1604. Chapter 1603. Missed thoughts, but when Xiaofu saw it, his eyes rolled back, and he almost fainted. Seriously? God, Earth. One Jin Ruhua was enough to choke him, and now there was another Mei Ruxian? Liang Bro. This. This? Xiaofu was dumbfounded. Sanctuary, I pulled myself out from between the cracks. Are you sure you're not mistaken? Pinliang glared at him. You're reaping what you sow. I can't. I confirmed it a few times. Xiaofu was confused as well. You're the one who made it, so you should bear the consequences yourself, Pinliang said. Xiaofu frowned, but there was nothing he could do. After a few discussions and exchanges between the boys and girls, everyone had found their favorite game partners. Those who were already in love with each other had also found suitable partners. As for those who didn't have anyone they liked, after this matchmaking session, they had a good impression of each other. Perhaps after this game, they would be able to help a lot of couples get together. This meant that Pinliang and Xiaofu had done a great thing. Everyone performed kisses one by one, and although some of them had feelings for each other, they couldn't do anything under the watchful eyes of the crowd. Plus, they hadn't made their relationship clear before, so after a few kisses, they shyly separated. Sanctuary when it was Lin Yi and Yushu's turn. Yushu happily raised the plastic wrap and closed her eyes. She whispered to Lin Yi, Shield bro, you have to be gentle with Shu, okay? This is Shu's first kiss. Lin Yi was speechless. Didn't they say that they'd already had their first kiss? How did it become their first kiss? Was it their first safe kiss? If you had to put it that way, then it was similar. Lin Yi, naturally, wouldn't kiss Yushu. He only pecked her forehead lightly. All right, it's someone else's turn. That's it? Yushu was a little disappointed. She really wanted to try kissing him on the lips, but he only kissed her forehead. Hee, what else do you want? Lin Yi laughed and said, Yun and Xiao Xiao's treatment is almost the same. Really? Yushu brightened up at Lin Yi's words. So you didn't kiss them either? Lin Yi didn't answer, and Yushu didn't pursue the matter. On the web it was Meng Yao's turn. She didn't know why, but her heart was in a mess. She looked at Lin Yi and Shu with anticipation, but also fear. Meng Yao was a conservative girl. Her first kiss, first love, and first night were all very important. This was also the reason why she had such a big reaction when she drank the drink that Lin Yi drank. But as she interacted with Lin Yi more, the ambiguous things between the two increased, especially the time when she was poisoned. Lin Yi detoxified her poison and saw her most embarrassing scene. So, Meng Yao didn't know how she felt about Lin Yi. Was it love? Or was it a habit? Meng Yao wasn't sure. Every time she thought about how she said that she didn't like Lin Yi, she would shrink back a little. She would rather believe that her reliance on Lin Yi was a kind of habitual familial love. She didn't have a mother's love since she was young, and her father was busy with work. Meng Yao didn't have much love. But when Lin Yi came to the villa, he took care of her, protected her, and let Meng Yao feel loved. So, Meng Yao was more willing to believe that her feelings for Lin Yi were just attachment. As for love, how was that possible? How was that possible? Meng Yao knew that she couldn't be as bold as Shu. Lin Yi had a girlfriend already, calling himself a mistress? How embarrassing was that? As for Xiao Xiao, Meng Yao didn't think much about it. She just treated it as a dying person's wish. This was a special case. There was no comparison. The more she thought about it, the more hesitant she became. Seeing that it was her turn with Lin Yi, Meng Yao didn't know why, but she said to Shu, Shu, I want you to play with Lin Yi. If you can choose a guy, you can choose a girl too. Naturally, no one said anything about Meng Yao's suggestion. After all, it had nothing to do with anyone else. It was fine as long as the person in question agreed. Oh, okay. Yushu hadn't had enough yet, and Meng Yao's words made her very happy. Shield bro, let's do it again. Don't go back on your words this time. We need to kiss a little longer. It ended so quickly, Shu didn't feel anything. The misreaction was within Lin Yi's expectations. The Miss was actually a very shy person. Giving Shu the role would save everyone from the awkwardness. Lin Yi could more or less confirm Shu's feelings towards him, so no matter how much he messed around with her, she wouldn't have any other thoughts. Meng Yao, on the other hand, was something he couldn't understand. Other than the battle with Tang Yun, the Miss had shown her determination. Other than that, he couldn't tell if the Miss had any other feelings for him other than being friends. As for the battle with Tang Yun, Lin Yi could only attribute it to the miss being so angry that she didn't know what to say. In fact, at that time, she and Tang Yun both said some things that weren't true. Lin Yi and Yushu raised the plastic wrap again. This time, Yushu was smarter. She didn't wait for Lin Yi to kiss her stupidly. Instead, she took the initiative and kissed Lin Yi's lips through the plastic wrap. Lin Yi was slightly stunned. In fact, he could have avoided it, but he didn't. First, Lin Yi was afraid that Yushu would be sad. Second, it was because there was plastic wrap between them, so it shouldn't be considered a real kiss, right? When it came to kissing, Yushu was actually a newbie as well. She knew how it was, but she didn't know why. She only saw on TV that men and women kissed mouth to mouth, but she didn't know anything like a French kiss or a French kiss. So, the two stupidly pressed their lips together for a while and separated. Although Lin Yi didn't have similar experience, he knew a little more than Yushu. However, he didn't want to take advantage of Yushu, so he went along with Yushu and kissed her lips. It was considered a safe kiss. Yushu had achieved her goal, but she was still a little puzzled. The kiss wasn't as beautiful as it seemed. She was a little nervous and excited, but wasn't it like the movies? Wouldn't they get tired after kissing for so long? With this doubt, Yushu decided to go home and search for what was kissing on the internet. She wanted to see if she missed anything. Target equals underscore blank. Chapter 1605. In the end, the only one left was the unlucky Gao Xiaofu, the initiator of the event. He'd suffered the consequences of his own actions. He'd had a safe kiss with two girls in the class, Ugly Boss and Ugly Boss. After the kiss, Gao Xiaofu fainted on the ground, completely disgusted. The two beautiful girls, on the other hand, were still intoxicated. Gao Xiaofu, on the other hand, wasn't bad-looking. He could be considered a handsome guy, and he used to be a powerful figure in the class. Although he'd been stepped on by Lin Yi, he still had a place in the girls' hearts. This was especially true for a dinosaur like him. As a result, Gao Xiaofu fainted after being hugged and kissed by the two beauties. Gao Xiaofu's situation drew a round of laughter from the class. The game was just an appetizer. After the game was over, Pinliang wanted to bring everyone to the game room to play billiards, video games, bowling, etc. But now that Gao Xiaofu had fainted, he couldn't go anymore. He could only give everyone a ticket to the game room. Those who wanted to play could go on their own. Meng Yao's heart ached as she looked at Lin Yi and the blissful Yushu. Was this the happiness that belonged to her? She was starting to regret giving this chance to Yushu. Meng Yao rubbed her temples. Why was it that she always regretted things? Did she really regret it? Was it because she liked Lin Yi? Or was it something else? Meng Yao shook her head, trying her best not to think about it. It was irritating. At first, she'd been wary and hostile towards Lin Yi, but unknowingly, she'd been influenced. There was a change in his mentality. Yao Yao, what are you thinking about? Yushu asked as she saw Meng Yao standing there in a daze. She didn't know what she was thinking about. Nothing, Shu. Meng Yao shook her head. Let's go. I'm a little tired. Let's go back and rest. Oh, so we're not going to the game room? Yushu was a little disappointed. It wasn't easy for them to come out and play. There was no point in going back to rest so early. Meng Yao could see Yushu's disappointment as well. Yushu had been studying in the villa all this time, and she hadn't had a chance to relax at all. Lin Yi was still practicing, and Meng Yao, Yushu, and Tang Yun didn't want to disturb Lin Yi. They knew that Lin Yi was about to do something important. Therefore, they did not go out to play. Therefore, with such a rare opportunity, it would be a pity if he didn't enjoy it to the fullest. Meng Yao, on the other hand, felt a little tired from the past 2 days. She'd been fanning Lin Yi, and she was sweating all over. She'd turned the air conditioner to the max, and she felt like she was about to catch a cold. But in order not to disappoint Shu, Meng Yao decided to accompany her. Thus, he smiled and said, "Oh right, I forgot about that. Shall we go then?" Lin Yi could see Meng Yao's exhaustion, but he could also see the deep love she had for Yushu. Lin Yi could see how much she cared for Yushu. She looked like a big sister, and it was rare for them to have such a good relationship. They weren't real sisters, but they were closer than real sisters. Xiaobo wasn't interested in being a third wheel at all. He went back to his room to rest, feeling a little annoyed as well. Wherever he went, Students would come up to him and flatter him. Xiaobo was starting to get bored. Lin Yi and the other two arrived at the activity room on the top floor of the resort. The entire floor was the activity center, and there were many entertainment programs. Pinliang had wanted to book a private room for everyone to rest in, but he didn't because of Xiaofu. But there were many resting places in the activity center, and they weren't worried about not having enough space. There were many entertainment programs in the activity center, but there weren't many customers. It was empty as far as the eye could see, but that was to be expected. The activity center was only open to the guests of the resort, and it wasn't open to the public. How many customers could there be? Lin Yi and the other two found a place to sit down. Meng Yao was a little weak, so Lin Yi turned to Yushu. What do you want to play? I'll bring you? Okay. Yushu noticed Meng Yao's discomfort and didn't force her. Yao Yao, you'll stay here and watch over us? Yeah. Meng Yao nodded. Most of the time, Meng Yao wished Shu well in her heart, hoping that she'd find a good partner. Lin Yi, on the other hand, was a good choice based on his character and strength. But the problem was that Lin Yi already had a girlfriend, and not just one. Was there even a chance between him and Yushu? Even if Shu said she didn't care, did she really care? And that ridiculous promise with her, the first wife and the second wife? Meng Yao sometimes couldn't understand Yushu's true thoughts. Sometimes, she looked like an idiot and liked to play dumb. But Meng Yao felt that Yushu wasn't playing dumb most of the time. Maybe what she said was true. She'd practically grown up with Yushu, and no one knew her better than Meng Yao. But even so, Meng Yao didn't understand her at all. This carefree girl, who could even be called a happy little girl, didn't seem to be happy. But in many situations, even if they were like sisters, Meng Yao wouldn't purposely ask Yushu if she didn't want to talk about it. No matter what, she was Yushu's Yao Yao, and she would treat her well for life. Meng Yao sighed and laid on the table quietly, watching Lin Yi and Shu walk away. Lin Yi played a few rides with Yushu, but Yushu seemed a little dull, not as lively as before. It was probably because Meng Yao couldn't come with them. Lin Yi found it funny. These two sisters were really close. Let's not play anymore, Shield Bro. Let's go back and accompany Yao Yao. Yushu said disinterestedly. Huh, okay. Lin Yi nodded and went to the drinks counter, bought 3 bottles of drinks, and walked towards Meng Yao with Shu. But after 2 steps, Lin Yi's face darkened. Lin Yi saw a baldy with sunglasses sitting beside Meng Yao's seat, talking to Meng Yao non-stop. Beside the baldy were a couple of gangster-like young men who obviously didn't look like good people. Target equals _blank. Chapter 1606. Another conflict, however. The baldy gave Lin Yi a familiar feeling. Had they met before? Shield Bro, someone seems to be flirting with Yao Yao sis. Let's go beat him up. Yushu panicked when she saw that Meng Yao was being flirted with. She picked up a bowling ball and said, 7 asterisk. Seeing Yushu's actions, Lin Yi suddenly felt pity for the baldy. His head was definitely not as hard as a bowling ball. But after 2 steps, Lin Yi's face darkened even more. Because Lin Yi really did know this baldy. What, you're not giving me face? I asked you to dance with me, but you didn't agree. Now you can't even have a drink with me? The baldy looked at Meng Yao. His tone was very displeased. If it wasn't for the fact that he didn't like to be rough with girls, he would have gotten someone to take Meng Yao back. I don't have a drink, but there's a bowling ball, Yushu said as she swung the bowling ball at the back of the baldy's head. The baldy fell to the ground, blood flowing from the back of his head. Master Yu. The gangsters around Master Yu didn't expect that someone would come out of nowhere and attack Master Yu. They were all mystic class masters, and their strength wasn't low. It was just that they didn't put their attention on defense. They didn't expect someone to suddenly attack them. The reason why Lin Yi didn't stop Yushu was because he recognized the baldy's identity. He was Master Yu, the one who wanted to copy Xinyan's exam paper. So, Lin Yi wasn't worried that Yushu would beat the baldy to death. If he died, then so be it. Noble houses and hidden houses had their own ways to resolve their grudges. Fuck, you're asking for it. The yellow hair next to Master Yu turned around and wanted to beat Yushu. He didn't care if Yushu was a girl or not. How could he let her off if she dared to hit Master Yu with a bowling ball? However, Lin Yi had already pulled Yushu behind him. He looked at the yellow hair in front of him coldly. What? You want to play trapeze again? Quack? The yellow-haired man was stunned. When he saw Lin Yi clearly, his face suddenly became extremely ugly. Never in his wildest dreams would he have thought that these two chicks were related to Lin Yi. Previously, in the examination hall, he had suffered a loss at the hands of Lin Yi, and this time, suddenly, the yellow hair's eyes lit up. Although he couldn't beat Lin Yi, there was someone here who could beat Lin Yi. After the incident last time, young master, you specifically asked for a mystic late-phase peak physical practitioner to be his bodyguard. The purpose was to deal with Lin Yi. The blonde quickly yelled, Stick bro, this kid is a mystic late-phase spiritual practitioner. He's a troublesome opponent. You'll have to deal with him. It's him who made young master you suffer a loss last time. Stick bro was just like his name, tall and thin like a stick. He didn't dye his hair like the yellow-haired man. His hair was gray and white. Obviously, even if he pretended to be young, he wouldn't be able to go to school with young master you. Therefore, such a bodyguard could only follow young master you outside. It was impossible to do so when he was in school. Holy Hall. When Stick bro heard that Lin Yi was a mystic late-phase master, he was slightly surprised, but he didn't care too much. He was a famous mystic late-phase peak physical practitioner for a long time. In his opinion, Lin Yi was just a junior who didn't know how to break through. Even if he had strength, it probably wasn't stable. As for Lin Yi's background, young master you went back to investigate for a long time, but he couldn't find anything. He was only a second young master, so he couldn't use all the resources of the Yu family. He could only ask around to see if there were other hidden families who looked like Lin Yi. But from the information he got back, there was no one who looked like Lin Yi, so young master Yu was relieved. Since he wasn't from a hidden family, there was no problem. As for the ancient level, he really didn't think about it. Disciples of the ancient level generally didn't appear in the secular world. They didn't even bother to fight with ordinary masters like the hidden families. They only wanted to pursue the heaven class, hoping to achieve the heavenly Tao. Where would they have the time to take an exam? Young master Yu was a cultivator after all. Although he didn't have much strength, he still had true qi to protect his body. He was injured by the bowling ball, but it wasn't too serious. After he got up and took a pill, the blood at the back of his head quickly stopped. Stick, kill this kid for me. Young master Yu caught his breath and glared at Lin Yi fiercely. Last time, he lost face in front of Lin Yi. This time, he didn't even get his face back and was hit by a bowling ball. If he didn't trample Lin Yi to death, how could he vent his anger? Kid, I heard that you are a master in the late stage of mystic class? Stick bro looked at Lin Yi and asked faintly, Which family's disciple are you from? Tell me your name. What? Are you trying to test me? Do you want to see if House Yu has the ability to challenge the power behind me? Lin Yi looked at Stick bro mockingly and asked. Stick bro was older, and he had become famous earlier. He had long passed the age of being young and frivolous, so he considered the problem more comprehensively. Although young master Yu said that there was no Lin Yi in those families, he still wanted to ask about Lin Yi's background. You're just afraid that the flood will destroy the temple of the Dragon King. Our Yu family has never been afraid of anyone. Among the hidden families, even the hidden House Yu has to respect us. Stick bro felt embarrassed when Lin Yi saw through his thoughts. No matter who you are, you have to give me an explanation for today's matter. Either cripple your own martial arts or follow me back to House Yu and wait for our master's punishment. Heh, I'm a solo cultivator with no family. Lin Yi smiled faintly. Are you relieved now? But as for the two conditions you mentioned, I think we should do the opposite. Either you cripple your own martial arts, or I'll cripple you. Then you can go back and wait for your master to kick you out of the family. You have a sharp tongue. Stick bro sneered and didn't say anything else. He suddenly raised his strength to the peak of the late stage of mystic class and swung his palm towards Lin Yi. He had made up his mind that even if he wanted to capture Lin Yi, he would first cripple Lin Yi. Otherwise, young Master Yu's anger wouldn't be extinguished so easily. Lin Yi smiled faintly and didn't dodge. He casually raised his right palm, and in an instant, the peak of the late stage of mystic class was revealed. In an instant, Stick Bro's face, which was originally proud and confident of victory, suddenly took a 180-degree turn. Previously, he thought that it wouldn't be easy for him to use his peak of the late stage of Mystic class to fight Lin Yi, who was a spiritual master of the late stage of Mystic class. Although there was a difference of one level between spiritual and physical, it depended on how you fought. Target equals answer blank. Chapter 1607. Chapter 1606. New plan. Stick Bro focused all his strength on his palms, and if Linny didn't defend with all his might, he would be crippled. Moreover, Stick Bro's arts were similar to Wu Chentian's. Both of them focused on their hands, high attack and low defense. From what he saw, Lin Yi would definitely be heavily injured, but he didn't expect that Lin Yi's strength would be Mystic late phase peak. What the fuck? Wasn't this a trap? If Stick Bro fought against a first-stage spiritual practitioner, he would definitely win, but if he fought against a spiritual practitioner who was one stage higher, wouldn't he be looking for death? No matter how strong he was still one stage lower. It was all for naught. He didn't have the ability to fight above his level. This was the same logic as playing online games. Your level was there, and if you wanted to kill someone who was a higher level than you, it would be very difficult. Of course, there were exceptions, such as if your skills were stronger than others, or if your equipment was better than others. Network, Lin Yi, on the other hand, was one of those players who had good skills and good equipment in online games, and he even had the Jade Pendant. How could others play against him? And so, Stick Bro was sent flying by Lin Yi with a sad face, landing on the bowling alley 10 meters away. Coincidentally, someone threw a bowling ball at the head of the extremely weak Stick Bro, knocking him out cold. St. Hall, Mystic late phase peak. How is this possible? Yellow and purple hair looked at Lin Yi in shock, not knowing how he became a Mystic late phase peak master. You hid your strength before? What do you think? Linny was too lazy to answer their questions. Let them think about it. Yellow and purple hair, on the other hand, thought that perhaps Lin Yi really did hide his strength from the start. If Linny could hide it the first time, he could definitely hide it the second time. Then, what about the third time? Could it be that Lin Yi's true power wasn't even at the peak of the late phase of the Mystic class? Yellow hair and purple hair were dumbstruck at this thought. But then again, it was Earth rank. Hidden aristocratic families were restrained by the Arbitration Association and couldn't casually appear in the secular world. Thus, they were relieved. You better think twice before going against the Hidden Right family. The yellow-haired man had spoken harshly. He did not have the guts to stay here anymore. Even Brother Stick was no match for Lin Yi. What ability did they have to keep Lin Yi here? Therefore, he was convinced by young Master Yu and prepared to leave in a hurry. As for Purple Hair, he went to carry Brother Stick, and the few of them disappeared from the entertainment center. During this period, young Master Yu didn't say a word. His heart was filled with hatred, but he couldn't vent it. He was well aware of the difference in strength between a peak late phase Mystic class spiritual master and a physical master. Especially since Stick Bro was injured, he was definitely not Lin Yi's opponent. Holy Hall Lin Yi didn't think too much about becoming enemies with the Hidden Right family. Since the hatred had been formed, there was no way to resolve it. He would just take it one step at a time. Yao Yao, are you okay? They didn't do anything to you, right? Linny looked at the tired Ming Yao and asked, I'm fine, thank you. But there won't be any trouble, right? The miss could tell that those people weren't simple, so she was just perfunctory and didn't get angry directly. What are you thanking me for? Haven't I always been your fighter? Linny smiled. Aren't we friends now? Ming Yao asked. Linny was slightly stunned and nodded. We're friends, so there's no need to say thank you? Okay. Ming Yao seemed happy to hear Linny say that. Because of young Master Yu and Stick Bro, the three of them who were already a little dispirited had no more thoughts of playing anymore. They left the activity room and went back to their rooms to rest. Lin Yi didn't really stay in the same room with Ming Yao and Yu Shu. It wasn't convenient, and people would gossip about him. Shu was fine, but Lin Yi was afraid of bringing gossip to the miss, so he went to Kong Xiaobo's room. Looking at Lin Yi leave, the miss was expressionless, and no one could tell if she was happy or sad. In the floating cloud bar, Yao Wang, Uncle Zhu, Boss Zhu, Qibing, and Sihua were sitting together, plotting something. Lin Yi went to the class reunion. If I'm not wrong, they'll definitely go hiking tomorrow. This is the activity that people who go to the resort choose the next morning, Sihua said. Sihua said. He was in the entertainment industry, after all, so he was very familiar with these things. Then let's do it tomorrow morning. Boss Shu nodded, but he was a little worried as he looked at Yao Wang. Yao Wang, is what you said true? Ordinary poisonous snakes will become extremely poisonous after consuming this 5-step dispersing powder, but they won't be poisoned to death? I've studied medicine for so long, why would I lie to you? Yao Wang said. Plus, we're all Master Bing's people. This isn't just revenge for Zhu Lauer, it's also revenge for Master Bing. That's good. Boss Shu nodded and said, people who are poisoned by this kind of poison will lose their true qi and have no antidote? I heard that Lin Yi is a miracle doctor, too. What if he can cure it? Of course there's a cure, but Lin Yi may be a skilled doctor. But where would he find the cure in that small town? By the time he gets back to Songshan and finds the cure, his qi will be long gone, and he'll become a normal person. There's no point in curing it. Yao Wang said. Oh, this poison doesn't work on normal people? Boss Shu asked. No, it'll only hurt a little, and the wound will swell for a few days, but it won't cause much damage. This is why normal snakes don't have any effects after consuming it, Yao Wang explained. All right, I'll find a chance tomorrow to poison Lin Yi and turn him into a normal person. It'll be too easy for us to deal with him then. Boss Shu nodded. Big brother, but that Lin Yi seems to be able to recover his strength, right? I heard that his meridians were all destroyed, but his meridians recovered, and he regained his strength. Uncle Zhu reminded. Meridians can be healed with the meridian opening pill. Once the meridians are healed, doesn't that mean that his strength will be restored? But this 5-step powder disperses all the qi in the body, turning a person into a normal person. It's different. Yao Wang explained. Zhu Lauer, aren't you an example? Uncle Zhu thought about it and felt that it was indeed the case. He immediately felt relieved. Then it settled. Tomorrow, I'll think of a way to make the snake that ate the 5-step powder bite Lin Yi. Boss Zhu said fiercely. Boss Zhu said fiercely. Once Lin Yi disperses his pure energy, he'll be a tiger without teeth. We can step on him however we want. Target equals for blank. Chapter 1608. A very important person although, the hidden house Zhao wanted them to keep a low profile and bear with it. Especially when old Zhao was in seclusion, Qibing and Boss Zhu couldn't take this lying down. Qibing's legs were healed by Elder Bai, and Uncle Zhu's life was saved by Elder Bai, but it wasn't realistic for Uncle Zhu to practice for the rest of his life. His meridians were all broken, and so were his limbs. He was now a cripple in a wheelchair. Seeing his brother, who had a bright future ahead of him, become a cripple just like that, how could Boss Zhu take this lying down? But, with Elder Bai and Guangyin's warning, he didn't dare do anything rash. This time, Qibing couldn't take it anymore, and the two of them hit it off. They wanted to harm Lin Yi, but they couldn't fight him head-on, so Yao Wang thought of a soft way. Holy Hall one had to admit that these people had some smart. It didn't look easy, but as long as they did it properly, Lin Yi would be completely crippled. It was worth the trouble. Hidden in the Tang family, in the training room of the Tang family patriarch, Old Master Tang, a disciple in his 20s was sitting on a chair, waiting for Old Master Tang to finish his training. Holy Hall, if Lin Yi were here, he'd be able to recognize this 20-something. He was one of the participants in the Ice Palace test, one of the unlucky bastards that Zhang Naipeo had robbed on the first day of the test. And so, he didn't pass the test, and returned to the hidden house with regret. Of course, it wasn't his fault. How could a hidden house compete with the ancient sects? Therefore, when this Tang family disciple told the clan elders about what had happened, no one blamed him. After all, this matter couldn't be blamed on him. Even his second uncle's family, who had always been at odds with him, didn't say anything. This Tang kid was called Tang Yui. He was the direct descendant of House Tang, and after reporting the situation to the elders, he rushed to see the old head of House Tang, Elder Tang, because this matter could only be decided by Elder Tang. Tang Yui was a smart man. He knew the importance of this matter. He also knew that if this matter was true, it would have an immeasurable impact on the Tang family. So, Tang Yuyu did not tell anyone, not even his father, the current head of the Tang family. He hurriedly went to Grandfather Tang's room. However, Tang Yuyu was the direct descendant of the Tang family. Personally coming to see Grandfather Tang was not considered to be breaking the rules, so no one would say anything. 7 after practicing a set of the Tang family's internal energy cultivation techniques, Grandfather Tang stopped and nodded towards Tang Yuyu, who was waiting on a chair. Yuyu, how was the training this time? Did you find anything? Tang Yuyu did not hide anything and respectfully told Grandfather Tang what he had said to his father and the great elder. Grandfather, that person is a disciple of the everyday sect. Grandson does not dare to fight with him. If we insist on fighting for a moment of pride, then not only will our grandson not be able to return, but it will also bring disaster to our hidden Tang family. So grandson can only give up on this opportunity. Yuyu, you did the right thing. The ancient sects and the hidden families are not on the same level. Tolerating them is the wisest choice. Elder Tang nodded his head and said, our Tang family's inner force cultivation technique has always leaned towards the ice attribute. This time, we sent you to the Ice Palace because we wanted you to stay there and become an outer disciple. That way, you would be able to advance in that unique environment. But forget it, there are some things that cannot be done, so there is no need to force it. Grandson knows, so grandson did not want to give up on this opportunity. I stayed at the foot of the ice mountain and trained for a while before coming back. The spiritual energy there is thick, allowing grandson to break through the bottleneck. Right now, grandson is a mystic mid-phase peak. Tang Yuyu said, what? You broke through? Haha, that's great. Grandfather Tang said happily, not bad, not bad. At your age, you are already a mystic mid-phase peak. In time, it is not impossible for you to break through to sky class. Yuyu, you just came back and you're already here. Are you trying to take credit from me? Your father and the others don't know about this, do they? I'm sorry, grandfather. They really don't know. I didn't have the time to tell them. Tang Yuyu quickly apologized. I know that you always wanted to be the young master, but I didn't tell you. Now that you're back from the trial, are you thinking about it again? Grandfather Tang sighed. Grandfather, let's not talk about this for now. I came to see you in a hurry because of something else. Tang Yuyu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Although he wanted to be the young master, he did come for something else. Oh, something else? Grandfather Tang paused. It's something very important. Tang Yuyu suddenly lowered his voice. Grandfather, should we go to the secret room? Although no one dared to eavesdrop outside of Grandfather Tang's training room, the Sky Class Masters in the family were not to be trifled with. If they heard what Tang Yuyu said, it would cause a huge uproar. Without Grandfather Tang's approval, Tang Yuyu didn't dare to speak carelessly. Secret room? Grandfather Tang was even more confused. What is it that requires us to go to the secret room to discuss? It should be noted that the secret room would only be opened when it was related to the Tang family's development or the selection of the next family head. Under other circumstances, Grandfather Tang would never go to the secret room. I saw someone who could change the status of our Tang family. If my guess is correct, then the Tang family's meteoric rise is just around the corner. Tang Yuyu said. However, before this news is confirmed, I can only tell you, grandfather. Oh, saw someone? Someone who can change the Tang family? Grandfather Tang frowned. However, seeing how mysterious Tang Yuyu was, he thought for a moment and nodded his head. All right, come with me. After speaking, Grandfather Tang turned around and walked towards an ancient painting by the side of the bookshelf. He gently touched the mechanism on the ancient painting and a creaking sound could be heard. The place where the bookshelf used to be was now a secret passageway. Although everyone in the Tang family knew about Grandfather Tang's secret room, the only person who was actually summoned into the secret room was Tang Yuyu's father, the current head of the hidden Tang family. Target equals Mr. Blank. Chapter 1609. Relatives? For Tang Yuyu to be able to enter this place, it could be considered a form of glory. Tang Yuyu carefully followed Grandfather Tang into the secret room. Soon after, The door to the secret room automatically closed with a clang, plunging the passage into darkness. Grandfather Tang casually pressed a button, and the lights in the secret passage lit up, illuminating the entire passageway. The interior of the passage was very simple, not as luxurious as Tang Yu had imagined. It was no different from a normal staircase. After descending 2 flights of stairs, Grandfather Tang and Tang Yu arrived at a small hall. In the small hall, there was only a simple meeting table and a few chairs. This was the so-called secret room. In Tang Yu's mind, the secret room was supposed to be a very luxurious and dignified place. He never expected it to be so ordinary, like a room that had never been renovated before. In reality, Grandfather Tang rarely used the secret room, so there was no need to decorate it too luxuriously. What is it different from what I expected? Do you think this place is very shabby? Grandfather Tang looked at Tang Yu and smiled. Holy Church, I wouldn't dare. Tang Yu hurriedly said, a place to discuss matters naturally doesn't need to be luxurious. You're right. Take a seat, Yu. This time, you can speak. What important matter do you have to tell me? Grandfather Tang sat on the main seat and gestured to Tang Yu. Grandfather, during the trial, I saw someone. Speaking up to this point, Tang Yu hesitated, as if he didn't know what to say. You saw someone? Who? Grandfather Tang said, if you have something to say, then say it. Why are you hemming and hawing? Why did you come to this secret room? I'm the only one here. No one else can hear me. Grandfather, then grandson will speak boldly. Tang Yu gritted his teeth and said, during the trial, I saw someone. She looked very similar to third aunt. Your third aunt? Xiao Ming? Grandfather Tang furrowed his brows and said, looked like her? Who looked like her? Ice Palace. Palace Master. Tang Yu said, when I first saw her, I thought I saw third aunt. At that time, I was so scared that I couldn't speak. But because she was a peak late-stage heaven rank expert, I didn't dare to look too much. But in the trial, the more I thought about it, the more I felt that something was wrong. Later, when the trial ended, I took a closer look at the Ice Palace Master. She really looked like Third Madam, but I haven't seen Third Madam for many years, so I don't have a deep impression of her, but she should be similar to the Third Madam I saw when she was young. You mean, the Palace Master of Ice Palace and your third auntie? Grandfather Tang was shocked by Tang Yu's words. He jumped up from his chair with a whoosh. With Elder Tang's composure, it was impossible for him to do something so crude. However, the news that Tang Yu brought him was too important. I suspect that the Palace Master of Ice Palace is the child that Third Madam lost. Tang Yu said, Grandfather, do you really think that there are people in this world who look so similar? Grandfather Tang's expression instantly became incomparably interesting. After a while, he said, that's not possible. The Palace Master of the Ice Palace is in existence at the peak late-stage heaven rank. How could she in our Tang family? Grandfather, this is a photo that I secretly took with my phone. Please take a look. As he spoke, Tang Yu handed a phone to Grandfather Tang. This photo was taken that night in front of the inn. Rock Tang and Elder Qing naturally noticed his actions, but they had no need to stop him. After all, their images were not a secret, so it wasn't a big deal for the hidden families to know about it. 7 asterisk, let me take a look. Although Grandfather Tang said that it was unlikely, his heart was in a state of shock. Deep down in his heart, he also hoped that what Tang Yu said was true. If that was the case, then the Tang family's meteoric rise was just around the corner. Grandfather Tang practically snatched the phone from Tang Yu's hands. After taking a look at the photo, he was instantly stunned. Too similar. Really too similar. Grandfather Tang looked at the photo on the phone and mumbled to himself, she looks exactly like your third madam when she was young. Grandfather, you mean she? After hearing his grandfather's words, Tang Yu confirmed his suspicions. She is my half-sister from a different mother? If that's the case, then that's it. But I'm not sure. Elder Tang suddenly sighed. Your mother is a jealous person. She was the one who single-handedly caused everything that happened in the past. Now that the Ice Palace's Palace Master is indeed your sister, it may not be a good thing for the Tang family. After the excitement, Grandfather Tang's mind calmed down. His eldest son had married 3 wives. His first wife was also from a hidden family. To be honest, it was just a marriage alliance. His eldest son had no feelings for his eldest son. As for his eldest son's childhood sweetheart, she became his second wife. However, Grandfather Tang's eldest daughter-in-law had used a scheme to kill his second daughter-in-law. If not for the fact that she was from an aristocratic family, Grandfather Tang would have punished her. However, his second daughter-in-law had no background and no children. So, after his eldest daughter-in-law's family offered some compensation, the matter was left unsettled. As for the third daughter-in-law, after his second daughter-in-law died, his eldest son married her and gave birth to a daughter. Originally, this daughter would not have been a threat to Tang Yuyu's right to inherit the position of junior head of household. However, his jealous eldest daughter-in-law ordered the servants to throw the daughter out. After this incident, the third daughter-in-law became depressed and did not speak much. Instead, she spent all day looking for her daughter. It was as if she was mentally unstable. Seeing that she was no longer a threat, the eldest daughter-in-law no longer paid attention to her. Using the excuse that she had gone crazy, she ordered the servants to lock her up in a separate courtyard and refused to see the rest of the Tang family. My mother? Humph, if I were my father, I would have divorced her a long time ago. Tang Yuyu's face flashed with anger. She is not fit to be my mother. I'm ashamed of her. When I was young, I was very close to third aunt. I would often send people to deliver daily necessities to her. I believe, with my help, third aunt will not blame our Tang family. Tang Yuyu was an honest and kind person. He respected open schemes and was very disdainful towards schemes. Target equals for blank. Chapter 16:10. The emotional Tang family. As a result, Tang Yuyu did not have the upper hand in the fight for the position of young master. If he had been willing to play some tricks, the position would have been his long ago. Although she was Tang Yuyu's biological mother, the things that his mother did made Tang Yuyu despise her. As a result, Tang Yuyu's relationship with her was very cold, and he kept a respectful distance from her. Sanctuary, that's true. Grandfather Tang nodded his head and said, But, Yuyu, do you know why I haven't agreed to let you be the young master? Huh. Tang Yuyu was surprised. He didn't know why his grandfather would suddenly bring this up. Yuyu, you are a good person. You are a real man, and there is nothing wrong with your character. However, you are too loyal and don't know how to scheme. By placing you in the position of young master too early, I'm not helping you. I'm harming you. In the family, there are many people eyeing that position. It's easy to dodge a spear in the open, but hard to guard against a stab in the dark. If you really become the young master, you will soon become the target of everyone. When that time comes, I'm afraid you won't even know how you died. Grandfather Tang sighed. Tang Yuyu was stunned. He suddenly understood his grandfather's painstaking efforts. It turned out that grandfather's heart had always been on his side. Thinking of this, Tang Yuyu was extremely moved. Thank you, grandfather, for taking care of me. Forget it, let's not talk about this anymore. This matter must be kept a secret. Don't tell anyone else. At the moment, only the two of us know about it. If this matter is leaked, it will be a blessing or a curse for the Tang family. Grandfather Tang warned. Sanctuary, yes. Tang Yuyu replied solemnly. Good. Now, come with me to see your third auntie. Grandfather Tang said, Follow me and be careful. Don't let anyone see you. Yes. Tang Yuyu replied. And so, Grandfather Tang led Tang Yuyu out of the secret room. Avoiding everyone's eyes, they directly arrived at the courtyard where third auntie was being held captive. Grandfather Tang was a heaven-ranked expert. For him, this matter was as easy as flipping his hand. The servant in third concubine's courtyard suddenly saw 2 more people in the courtyard. He was so shocked that he was about to shout. However, when he saw clearly who it was, he was shocked. Old master, young master, go ahead, it's none of your business. Tang Yuyu waved his hand and gestured. Yes, young master. The servant did not dare to speak, and hurriedly bowed his head and left to attend to his own matters. Meanwhile, Tang Yuyu and Grandfather Tang directly entered Third Aunt's room. What he saw was a young married woman. She was dressed very simply. Although she was a little listless, she was definitely not mentally ill. The young woman's appearance was no longer there, but one could tell that she had been a beauty when she was young. Looking at this third aunt, Tang Yuyu could not help but sigh. Thinking back to when he was young, she had brought him along to play. She had been such a beautiful young girl, just like the current Ice Palace master. But now, after so many years, things had changed. All these years, although Tang Yuyu had often asked people to send food and clothing to Third Aunt, in order to avoid arousing suspicion, he had never come here. After all, he was the grandson of the first wife. How could he possibly get involved with Third Aunt? At the same time, Grandfather Tang could not help but lament the passing of time. It had only been 10 years and this third aunt had already become so haggard. Thinking about his eldest son, who was willing to do anything for the sake of power, Grandfather Tang shook his head. If it wasn't for his eldest son's tacit approval, no matter how jealous his daughter-in-law was, this was still the Tang family, not hers. It wasn't a place where she could do whatever she wanted. However, in order to get hold of his daughter-in-law's weakness, he used her family's influence to throw away his own flesh and blood. This was simply inhumane. Elder Tang noticed all of this, but he did not say a word. The Tang family needed to develop, so they needed a ruthless person. As long as he did not do anything that would harm the Tang family's interests, Grandfather Tang would not interfere. Hearing the sound, Third Aunt turned around. When she saw the old man and the young man in front of her, she was stunned. She naturally recognized the old man, but the young man looked a little familiar. However, she did not dare to recognize him. "Father, why are you here?" Third Aunt hurriedly stood up and bowed. "Father, please take a seat." Third Aunt was a little fearful. For the past 10 years, no one from the Tang family had appeared before her. But now, the Tang family head had suddenly appeared, causing her to panic. She was originally from a poor background and was not from a big family. All these years, she had lost her daughter and had always been depressed. She also knew that the big madam did not like her, so she could only wait for her life to come to an end. "Xiao Ming, it's been so many years. It must have been hard on you." My unfilial son sighed. As soon as Grandfather Tang entered the room, he waved his hand and sighed. "Father, it's not his fault. It's Xiao Ming's fault for being careless." Third Aunt was fearful, unsure of what Grandfather Tang was planning. "All these years, I have never given up on finding your daughter. But, as you know, the eldest daughter-in-law's family is as powerful as the Tang family. So, I had no choice but to ask Yu to investigate in secret." Grandfather Tang lied without batting an eyelid. He pointed to Tang Yu and said, "Yu has always been close to you when he was young. Now that his sister has gone missing, he has become estranged from his mother. It's the big young master." After hearing Grandfather Tang's words, Third Aunt finally recognized the young man in front of her as Tang Yu. "Third Aunt, all these years, in order to avoid arousing suspicion, I haven't visited you. I am truly ashamed." Tang Yu bowed deeply. These were his sincere words. He wasn't as hypocritical as Elder Tang. He had a close relationship with Third Auntie, otherwise, he wouldn't have sent people to deliver gifts to her all these years. "Young master, you're exaggerating. All these years, I've relied on you to take care of me. I don't have to worry about food and clothing here." Third Aunt didn't doubt Grandfather Tang's words. If others had forgotten about her, she would have believed it. But, all these years, Tang Yu had sent gifts to her during the festive season. This touched Third Aunt very much. In the past, she didn't treat Tang Yu well. This child was really not bad. Hearing that Tang Yu had been secretly searching for his daughter all these years, Third Aunt was even more excited as she asked, "Young master, then, did you manage to find out anything about Tang Tang?" Third Aunt's daughter's nickname was Tang Tang. It was a very nice name. As for her real name, it was also Tang Tang. It was just that the characters were different. Target equals for blank. Chapter 16:11. Chapter 16:10. Preparing to go to the Ice Palace, I have some news. Otherwise, I wouldn't have come here with grandfather. Tang Yu sighed. Although his grandfather was lying, he couldn't refute him. He simply said, "Third auntie, you are the elder. Why are you calling me young master? Just call me Yu. Xiaoming, Yu has indeed found news of Tang Tang. However, he isn't sure if this person is Tang Tang. Look, he took a photo. Where is it?" After hearing Grandfather Tang's words, Third Auntie seemed to be in a much better mood. She said excitedly, "Quick, let me see." However, she quickly realized that she had lost her composure. She quickly said, "Father, I'm sorry. I was too anxious." "It's nothing. Yu, let Xiaoming see the phone." Grandfather Tang's attitude had always been good. As a sly old fox, he naturally knew how to put on an act. Tang Yu had already revealed his true feelings, so there was no need for him to put on an act. "Third Auntie, please take a look." Tang Yu handed the phone to Third Auntie. Third Concubine took the phone and glanced at it. She exclaimed in surprise and almost dropped the phone on the ground. Her eyes stared straight at the photo on the phone. Her throat was stuck and she couldn't say a word. She couldn't help but tear up. After a long time, she finally said in a barely audible voice, "Tang Tang, is that you?" "Tang Tang, it must be you." Grandfather Tang and Tang Yu didn't say anything. They both knew that Third Auntie needed some time to digest this news. At this time, it was already a miracle that she didn't faint from excitement. After all, no one would be able to accept the sudden news of their long-lost daughter. "Yes, it must be. Father, when I first saw her, I had an inexplicable feeling in my heart, as if she was my daughter. This is a kind of blood connection. I'm sure it's her. She must be Tang Tang." Third Aunt said, "Where is she? I'm going to find her." Grandfather Tang smiled bitterly. "Xiaoming, don't get too excited. It's a bit complicated." "Complicated?" Third Auntie wanted to say something, but she shut her mouth. She looked at Grandfather Tang with anticipation and anxiety. "Xiaoming, do you know her current identity?" Grandfather Tang sighed and said, "Her current identity is the palace master of an ancient sect, Ice Palace." "What? An ancient sect? Ice Palace master?" Third Aunt was shocked. Although she was born poor, she had been in the hidden Tang family for many years. She knew about the hidden families and ancient sections. So when she heard that the person in the photo was the palace master of the ancient sect, Ice Palace, she was stunned. "Holy Church, this is also the reason Wise One and I are uncertain." Old Man Tang said, "The difference between us and the Ice Palace's palace master is simply too great. How could an abandoned child of the Tang family become the palace master of one of the largest ancient sects, the Ice Palace? This was too unimaginable. Moreover, according to Yu, she was a peak late-stage heaven rank master. Even I am only at the early stage of heaven rank." Third Aunt held the phone tightly and did not speak. She looked at the person in the photo, and no one knew what she was thinking. As for Grandfather Tang and Tang Yu, they did not disturb her. After a while, Third Aunt said, "I have a feeling that she is my daughter. It really is. Xiaoming, if you're sure, let's personally go to the Ice Palace's location. Even if we're right or not, there's nothing to lose." Elder Tang had already thought it through. Going to the Ice Palace wouldn't be considered as offending the Ice Palace. The Ice Palace was different from the everyday and everyday day sect, which didn't play by the rules. Sects like the Ice Palace sometimes didn't care about small and weak powers. If they really went to the Ice Palace, they would at most be chased out for making a mistake, but there wouldn't be any danger. "Is that okay?" "Okay." Third Aunt agreed without hesitation. She also wanted to see her daughter as soon as possible. Not to mention the Ice Palace, even if she had to go to the ends of the earth, she would go. "Then it's decided. You don't need to say anything to the servants. I will make the arrangements, and we will set off in a few days." Grandfather Tang said after a moment of silence. "I understand." Third Aunt nodded in agreement. Although Third Concubine was born in a poor family and did not have any bad intentions, she was not stupid. She quickly realized that if her daughter Tang Tang was really the palace master of the Ice Palace, the future of the Tang family would be greatly affected. But would her daughter be willing to acknowledge her as her mother? Thinking of this, Third Aunt's expression darkened. Grandfather Tang and Tang Yu quickly left. They had to make arrangements for the family and head to the ice palace, but they could not let the rest of the family suspect them. There were still many things to be arranged. In the resort, after taking a shower, Lin Yi and Kang Xiaobo were chatting on the sofa. It feels like a dream. Thinking back to when you first transferred here and had a conflict with Zhong Pingliang, it is still fresh in my mind. In the blink of an eye, I have become a vice president of a company. This change is really big. Kang Xiaobo sighed. Hearing Kang Xiaobo's words, Lin Yi's heart was filled with emotions as well. Back then, he was just an ordinary assassin, or rather, a small bodyguard. In short, his job was similar to that of a bounty hunter, and his life was uncertain. But now, not only did he have his own company, but he also had the strength to challenge the noble houses. This was unimaginable in the past. At that time, he was just a normal bodyguard protecting Yu Ning, the little princess of the hidden house Yu. Compared to Yu Ning, it felt like a cowherd and a weaver girl. But now, with a shake of his body, he dared to snatch food from the tiger's mouth. He stole a chi-gathering pill and even dared to step on their representative in the common world, the common house Yu, and even asked them to send 2 concubines over. Life was like this, full of miracles and twists. No one could predict their own future. Xiaobo, have you thought about how to arrange for your university? Linny asked. I don't know yet, but I think I will find an economic school, put my name on it, and get a certificate. Right now, I want to focus on managing the company. When the time comes, if I am not capable enough, I will study for an MBA in business management. Xiaobo said, but I did get Fawn to sign up for a night university, so she can go study at night. She's different from me, she's better at quality inspection. I'm planning on getting her to get some certifications related to that, since our company needs people like that in the future. Target equals for blank. Chapter 16:12. All right, since you've made up your mind, I won't say anything else. Linny nodded, a little regretful. It seemed like Kang Xiaobo had already walked on his own path. He couldn't spend his university years with Linny anymore. Oh right, boss, Kang Ming doesn't seem to have given up. I've seen him roping in people from the purchasing and quality control departments. It seems like he's also eyeing our painkiller formula. Kang Xiaobo said, although the purchasing and quality control departments don't have a detailed formula, I'm still afraid that they'll leak something and let them research something. Don't worry about him. Linny said faintly, the most important core technologies for painkillers are in your and Fatty Lie's hands. He can research the rest if he wants. Be careful not to explode. Huh. Kang Xiaobo was stunned. Didn't I tell you guys that I bought some other drugs together? Linny asked. Yeah, after buying, they were all stored in the warehouse. Kang Xiaobo nodded. Could it be those drugs? He put them together and made them explode? Linny smiled. Boss, it can't be? You're really something. Kang Xiaobo wanted his men to be careful and not spill the beans, or he could just fire those who had contact with Kang Ming. But after listening to Lin Yi's words, Kang Xiaobo was impressed. So, boss, you had foresight. It's not foresight, it's just a coincidence. The medicinal ingredients that I asked you guys to buy are produced in small quantities every year. They're needed for the next drug that's on the market, so I bought them in advance. But if you mix them with the other ingredients, it'll easily explode. Linny said. Kang Xiaobo clicked his tongue, sighing at Kang Ming's bad luck. The ingredients that he spent so much effort to get would probably explode after he made them. Then, do we need to leak it to him? Kang Xiaobo asked after some hesitation. If he gives you money, just give him the list. Linny smiled. Just like last time. Okay. Kang Xiaobo was happy after getting Lin Yi's permission. Not only could he extort money from him, but he could also screw Kang Ming over. Why not? In the other room, Meng Yao and Yu Shu were whispering on the bed after they finished showering. Shu, how did you feel when you kissed Linny today? Meng Yao wanted to ask, but she was too shy to do so in front of Lin Yi. Yao sis, why don't you give it a try? Why should I give it a try? I would have done it if I wanted to. Meng Yao blushed. I don't want to, that's why I'm asking you. Oh, actually, you were the first one to kiss Shield Bro Yao Yao. Did you forget? You guys kissed indirectly, Yushu said. Meng Yao's face darkened as she thought back to that indirect kiss. She'd only felt hatred and disgust for Linny back then, and that was why she'd reacted so strongly. But now that she thought about it, it didn't really matter. Lin Yi didn't even care about her pee. Why would she care about Lin Yi's saliva? Meng Yao's face reddened even more when she thought about that incident. That was the most shameful experience Meng Yao had ever had in her life. What about that time? Meng Yao coughed. Forget it. It's fine if you don't want to say it. Aya, Yao sis, don't be angry. I'll say it. Yushu looked at the blushing Meng Yao. Whoa, Yao sis, are you shy? What are you talking about? It's because I'm hot. Meng Yao argued. Are you going to say it or not? It's fine if you don't. All right, I'll tell you. With that, Yushu planted a kiss on Meng Yao's lips. Meng Yao was still in a daze when Yushu said gleefully, That's it, now you get it, right? Meng Yao didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Are you the same as Lin Yi? Hey, Yao sis, you should try it yourself. I really don't understand. Yushu stopped fooling around. Forget it. Let's not talk about this. Meng Yao waved her hand. Shu, do you really like Lin Yi? Oh? Yushu started playing dumb again. What are you talking about? Answer me. Meng Yao said sternly. Of course I like him. Don't you like him too, Yao sis? Yushu said seriously. Don't drag me into this. Meng Yao said. I'm asking you now. We'll talk about my stuff later. Then I like him. Yushu nodded. Then have you ever thought that Lin Yi already has Tang Yun and Feng Xiaoxiao by his side? Meng Yao seemed to be asking Yushu, but more importantly, it was a question she was asking herself. It was a question she had been struggling with. If she didn't reject him so much, would she be his girlfriend? Meng Yao thought about it, but there was no answer. There was no if in this world. It was all in the past. There was no use in ifs. It's not like there's another me, right? Yushu didn't seem to understand what Meng Yao meant at all. You won't be jealous? Meng Yao had no choice. She could only ask more clearly. Jealous? Yushu shook her head. If I was jealous, why would I let you be the main wife, Yao sis? Meng Yao really didn't know how to communicate with Yushu's nonsensical answers. Sometimes Yushu looked smarter than anyone else, but other times, Yushu would just change the topic no matter how you tried to explain things to her. Yushu didn't want to understand. Sometimes, Meng Yao really admired Yushu. This girl wasn't simple. She thought about what she wanted to think about, and didn't think about what she didn't want to think about at all. Yao sis, I actually understand what you're saying. Yushu suddenly changed her tone and put away the smile on her face. She said to Meng Yao, but sometimes, thinking too much is a kind of pain. Tomorrow will have its own troubles tomorrow. Why worry about tomorrow? It's fine as long as we're happy today. I don't want to think too much. But, what about your future? Is it really like what you said? Tang Yun will be the main wife, and you and Xiaoxiao will be the small wives? Meng Yao felt a little dizzy. What would happen to her then? Future? That's too far. Yushu sighed and smiled. I don't want to think about it, hee. Asterisk J, target equals, _ blank. Chapter 1613. The Mrs. Sickmeng Yao looked at the carefree Yushu and felt a little envious. Go to sleep, it's getting late. I heard that you have to go hiking tomorrow? Okay. Yushu nodded, smiling bitterly in her heart. Sometimes, she didn't like being like this. It was around midnight when Yushu got up to go to the washroom. When she got up, she accidentally touched Meng Yao's body. Yushu's body temperature was higher than a normal person's, but Meng Yao had burned her. Yushu jumped in fright. Yao, what's wrong? Yushu touched Meng Yao's forehead subconsciously. It was even scarier. Yushu quickly turned on the bedside lamp and dialed Lin Yi's number. Lin Yi was practicing when his phone rang. He quickly came back to reality and picked it up. Shu? Lin Yi paused when he saw the caller ID. Shu was calling him in the middle of the night. What was going on? Shield bro, come quick. Yao, do you? Yushu couldn't catch her breath and only got halfway through her sentence when Lin Yi jumped in shock. Yao wants? And she wants him to come quick? Lin Yi couldn't help but think of some evil things. But thinking was just thinking. Lin Yi subconsciously thought that Shu was joking. After all, Lin Yi knew Meng Yao's character very well. She wouldn't ask Shu to call him in the middle of the night. With the Mrs. Soft Skin, she wouldn't ask Shu for help even if she wanted to do something. And so, Lin Yi quickly said, "Shu, what's wrong? Take your time. What happened?" "Yao Yao sis. Yao Yao sis is going to burn to death." Shu took a deep breath and said, "Shield bro, come save her. She's having a fever." "I'll be right there." Lin Yi guessed that it wasn't the case. He quickly put on his coat and got ready to leave after hearing that Meng Yao was sick. At this time, Kang Xiaobo was also awakened. He opened his eyes in confusion and looked at Lin Yi. He asked curiously, "Boss, what's wrong?" "Yao Yao is sick. I'll go over and take a look." "You sleep," Lin Yi said to Kang Xiaobo. "Do you need my help?" Kang Xiaobo subconsciously asked. "It's fine." Lin Yi sighed. Meng Yao was a girl, after all, and it wouldn't be convenient for Kang Xiaobo to go. He and the miss, on the other hand, didn't have to avoid each other anymore. So much had happened, after all. "All right, I'll wait here. If you need me to buy any medicine, just tell me, boss, and I'll go." Kang Xiaobo nodded. He rushed to Shu's room and knocked on the door. It didn't take long for the door to open. Shu was only wearing a thin silk pajamas, and her body was faintly discernible. Under the dim light, it made one's imagination run wild. However, Lin Yi only took one look and suppressed the evil thoughts in his heart. This kind of situation often happened at home, and Lin Yi had practiced to the point of turning a blind eye to it. It wasn't that Shu didn't pay attention, but she made sure that there was only Lin Yi outside before opening the door. From her point of view, Lin Yi and Yao Yao had already seen everything. What was there to avoid? Of course, if Kang Xiaobo had come with him, Shu wouldn't have opened the door so quickly. "Shield bro, come quickly." Shu closed the door and pulled Lin Yi into the room. Lin Yi followed Shu into the room. Shu wanted to turn on the light, but Lin Yi waved his hand and refused. This kind of dim bedside lamp was enough for Lin Yi to see clearly. There was no need to turn on the light. It would wake Meng Yao up. "No need to turn on the light. I'll take a look first." Lin Yi quickly walked to Meng Yao's bedside. Meng Yao was also wearing silk pajamas, very thin. Because Meng Yao was lying on the bed, the 2 points on her chest were faintly discernible. Lin Yi only glanced at them unintentionally, and it was hard for him to move his eyes away. Although Lin Yi spent a lot of time with them, he usually wouldn't go upstairs, and Meng Yao and Shu wouldn't wear 2 revealing pajamas downstairs. But right now, Lin Yi's breathing was rapid. "Shield bro, you treat Yao Yao first. You can look after her when she's better." Shu quickly reminded when she saw where Lin Yi was looking at. Ahem. Lin Yi didn't expect his actions to be noticed by Shu, and he was embarrassed. He coughed twice and tried to explain himself. "I'm just checking if there's anything wrong with Yao Yao's chest. I hope it's not pneumonia or emphysema." Lin Yi was just bullshitting. He didn't have X-ray vision, so how could he have seen it? But it was enough to fool Shu a little to ease the awkwardness. Oh. Shu realized that she'd misunderstood Lin Yi. That's right. Shield bro can look at it anytime he wants. There's no need to look at it now. There's plenty of opportunities at home. "Shield bro, do you want me to take off Yao Yao sis's clothes before you take a look? It's not good, right? It's not pneumonia." Pfft. Lin Yi almost fainted at Shu's words. He quickly waved his hand. "Not yet. I'll take a look first, okay?" Shu was in too much of a rush and didn't even realize that her words were inappropriate. Lin Yi took in a deep breath, calming himself down. He moved his eyes away and started feeling Meng Yao's pulse like a doctor. "It's just a cold," Lin Yi said with a sigh of relief. "It's not a big deal. Did she catch a cold today?" Yeah. Yao Yao and I turned the air conditioner to the max when you were neutralizing the poison, Shield bro. She might have caught a cold then," Shu said after some thought. "It's been hard on you guys." Lin Yi sighed as he took out his needles and used his pure qi to disinfect the poison. He poked Yao Yao's body a few times. "She'll be fine after a while. It's not a big deal." With that, Lin Yi picked up his phone and dialed Kang Xiaobo's number. "Boss, what do you need me to do?" Kang Xiaobo was on standby, so he picked up immediately after Lin Yi's call. "Go to the pharmacy in the resort and buy a box of cold capsules. If you don't have any, Grab some herbs yourself. Ephedra, cassia twig, bramble mustard, scutularia, bitter almond, notopterygium notopterygium. Lin Yi listed off a list of herbs. Okay, I'll go right now. Kong Xiaobo nodded. Target equals for blank. Chapter 16:14. There was really no problem. Lin Yi didn't need to brew his own medicine for a common cold. This was a prescription that had been used for thousands of years. There was no need to change it at all. There were a lot of medicines out there. Lin Yi would only brew his own if he didn't have any. Holy Halmingyao had been awake the whole time. She woke up when Shu told her that her body was burning up, but she had no energy and couldn't speak. Mengyao knew that Lin Yi's eyes were on her chest. The miss was embarrassed and angry at the same time. She almost fainted, but in her heart, there was a trace of joy. Did his chest look so good? Was it better than Shu's big cow? Otherwise, why would Lin Yi stare at her and not Yushu? How was she compared to Tang Yun? Eldest young miss was having a fever, and her mind liked to let her imagination run wild. The more she thought, things that Mengyao normally wouldn't think about when she was in a rational state of mind were all surging into her mind at this moment. But she was a little disappointed when he said that he was checking for pneumonia. Was he really checking for pneumonia? But that gaze didn't seem to be as simple as checking for pneumonia. Mengyao could clearly feel the color of a pervert in that gaze. But not only was Mengyao not angered by the pervert's gaze, she was even a little happy. Mengyao didn't even have time to think about it before the needles pierced into her body. Mengyao felt a cooling sensation all over her body, and it didn't feel as hot anymore. Looking at Lin Yi, Mengyao's half-closed eyes became blurry. 7 shield bro, is that it? Is it just a simple cold? Yushu let out a sigh of relief when she heard that it was just a cold. Yeah, it's just a cold. Lin Yi nodded. Do you think it's something serious? Right. Didn't you have the air conditioner in the afternoon? Do you feel any discomfort? Let me check for you. Lin Yi suddenly remembered that Shu was there too. If she caught a cold, then she should be treated as soon as possible. Yushu didn't seem to have any problems right now, but things like colds had different incubation periods. Some people would get sick right away, while others might take a whole day to react. Me? I'm fine. My body temperature's a little higher than a normal person's, and the heat doesn't affect me at all. Yushu blinked, but a strange light flashed through her eyes. All right. Shield bro, hurry up and give me a checkup. Check if I'm sick. Heh. Lin Yi smiled and said, give me your hand. Yushu reached out. Do I need to take off my clothes? My breasts are bigger than Yao Yao sis. If I don't take them off, Shield bro won't be able to see clearly, right? I don't want to get pneumonia. Lin Yi slipped and nearly fell to the ground. He rubbed his nose and bitterly smiled. There's no need for that. Your symptoms don't match, so there shouldn't be any. 7 go. Yushu nodded, not too disappointed. She looked at Lin Yi a little anxiously. Shield bro, is there something wrong with me? No. Lin Yi gave Yushu a simple checkup. She didn't have any symptoms of a cold. You're very healthy. Your body is a little better than Yao Yao's. I'm not sick. Yushu breathed out in relief. Shield bro, did you check me thoroughly? Of course. Lin Yi smiled. I can tell with one glance if it's a simple illness like this. What if I have other complicated illnesses? Yushu reached out her hand again. Shield bro, do you want to check me again? See if there are any other illnesses? Lin Yi didn't know whether to laugh or cry, but he still held Yushu's wrist and gave it a checkup. He shook his head. There's really nothing wrong. There's no pneumonia. Oh, Yushu was a little disappointed. Then do I need to take off my clothes and check again? No need, Lin Yi said. Mengyao, who was lying on the bed, was very unhappy when she heard Yushu's words. What did she mean by Yao Yao's breasts were small, and she had big breasts? This Yushu was asking for a beating. Yushu was about to say something when someone knocked on the door. Lin Yi turned to Yushu. Wait here. I'll go open the door. It was probably Kong Xiaobo who came to deliver the medicine. It wasn't a good time for Yushu to show herself. Lin Yi opened the door. It was indeed Kong Xiaobo. Boss, the medicine is here. Kong Xiaobo was about to go in, but he hesitated. He passed the medicine to Linny and said, "I'll go back first." "Okay, thanks." Linny nodded and returned to the room with the medicine. He fed the medicine to Ming Yao and put away the silver needles. "Shu, you should rest early too. Yao Yao is fine. She'll be fine when she wakes up tomorrow morning." "Okay." Yushu knew that Linny was leaving and waved at Lin Yi. After taking the medicine, Ming Yao fell asleep very quickly. The next morning, when Ming Yao woke up, she felt refreshed. She didn't feel uncomfortable at all. Thinking back, it was like a dream. If it wasn't for the box of flu soft capsules on the bedside, Ming Yao would have thought that everything was just a dream. Looking at Shu, who was sleeping soundly, Ming Yao didn't want to disturb her. She knew that Shu was busy last night and didn't sleep well, so she wanted to let her sleep a little longer. After some hesitation, Miss picked up her phone and sent a message to Lin Yi, but it was only 2 words, "Thank you." Lin Yi looked at the message in his hand and couldn't help but smile. "Mrs. Personality." He replied casually, "Don't forget to take your medicine in the morning." Ming Yao didn't reply again. It was obvious that she wanted to take her medicine. It was around 8 o'clock, and Shu woke up. Seeing that there was no one beside her, she said in a daze, "Yao Yao sis? Shu, you're awake?" Ming Yao had just taken her medicine, so she went to wash up and put on her clothes. "Ugh, Yao Yao sis, you're better?" Yushu rubbed her eyes and sat up. "What time is it? Didn't you say we're going hiking today? Can we make it in time?" "It's still early. It's only 8 o'clock. Didn't you say we'll meet at 9? Ming Yao said, "Thank you for yesterday." "Yao Yao sis, why are you thanking me?" Yushu said, "Thank you for Shield Bro." "Yao Yao sis, Shield Bro has saved you so many times. Have you ever thought about repaying him with your body? You better take off your clothes and let him check his body." Meng Yao curled her lips. Target equals _ blank. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.